The night gets heated fast, fingers trail across skin, and all Evelyn can get out is a breathless wait before she stops fighting it. A voice, low and teasing, checks in with her. "Are you sure you can take responsibility for this, Evelyn?" She just smirks back, green eyes glinting, clearly in no mood to back down now. Of course, she purrs, sealing the deal with a wicked little smile. Whatever happens next, she is all in. Things get steamy fast, and the last coherent thing she manages is, "So don't stop, we will leave the rest right there." Morning arrives, and somewhere under a tangle of sheets, somebody lets out a sleepy little murmur. Turns out Evelyn used her mystery man as a human pillow all night, and he is not thrilled about it. "Babe, I can't breathe," he wheezes. He reaches out for her, and something about the moment says this cozy good morning is about to go sideways fast. Evelyn finally cracks an eye open, gets a good look at the guy next to her, and completely short-circuits. "Oh my God. Who the heck is this gorgeous man?" She screams inside her own head because apparently she does not recognize her own one-night stand. She cannot help but stare. His skin, she notes very seriously, is smoother than a baby's bottom. And do not even get her started on the muscles. Evelyn is fully, shamelessly in awe right now. Then he stirs and catches her staring. Awkward does not even begin to cover this. Cue the internal spiral. "Gosh, what have you done, Evelyn?" she screeches at herself. "How could you spend the night with a total stranger?" Great question, Evelyn, truly great question. Priorities firmly in order, she scrambles around the room hunting for exactly one thing, her underwear. Because here is the thing, she has never even kissed anyone before, let alone been in a relationship. This is very new territory. The bedsheets are absolutely wrecked, torn clean apart, Exhibit A. She sinks down, practically radiating panic. "Just what in the world did I do last night?" Sore all over, hair a total disaster. She is cataloging the damage like it is a crime scene. Add a torn negligee to the evidence pile. "Yeah, last night definitely happened." With a clatter and a crash, she all but falls out of bed trying to make her getaway. Lucky for her, the mystery man is still out cold, snoring away. So she does the only reasonable thing, leaves a note on the table. "Thank you for the lovely night, please get home safely," along with some coin, like this was a transaction. Bold move. Quick introduction, since you will want the name. She is Evelyn Florence. Not only is she the daughter of a count, she once admitted to herself, "I've never seen anyone that handsome in my life," foreshadowing much. But here is the twist, she is also just a forgettable side character in this world's story. All she ever wanted was to live her life in peace. Spoiler, that ship has sailed. Still, she cannot help grinning to herself. That was fun, tilde, not exactly the reaction you would expect from someone panicking 2 seconds ago. Somewhere else in the city, a certain someone is reading that note aloud, and his tone could frost over a bonfire. "Thank you for the lovely night. Please get home safely." His eyebrow gives an involuntary twitch. That is the whole note. He holds the folded note like it personally insulted him. And oh, it did. His expression is doing that thing where it goes very still right before it goes very, very bad. His grip tightens on the note, and behind the dark hair, his eyes flash with something that is definitely not amusement. "What is this?" he asks the empty room, voice like the held breath before a storm. Cut back to Evelyn, who has no idea what is coming. All she knows is one thing: this one night's mistake has ruined everything for me. That evening, at a grand estate across the city, things are about to come to a head. Evelyn sits herself down, steadying her nerves for something she has been putting off. "If I may make a small confession," she starts. Memories of an entire other life came flooding back to her just a few days ago. And that is when it hit her. This world is exactly the one she once read about in an 18-plus romance novel. The story kicked off at the birthday party of the novel's male lead, Crown Prince Ian, where the female lead, Princess Lena, made her big entrance. It was, on paper, a pretty ordinary love story. The reason it earned that 18-plus rating? One name: the novel's notorious psychopath and ultimate villain, Duke Cale Harthian. See, Duke Cale fell for the female lead at first sight, then went on to kidnap her, confine her, gaslight her, and rack up a truly staggering list of crimes. The crimes he committed without a shred of hesitation were simply unspeakable. He was the textbook definition of an evil villain. His obsession with the female lead ran so deep that any side character who so much as brushed past her got sent straight to hell. So terrifying. So as the nobody extra that she was, Evelyn swore off getting anywhere near the story's three main characters. Simple plan, foolproof even. Except plot twist incoming, her face suddenly goes hot as a thought lands. Those scrumptious abs I saw last night belong to the psychopathic villain. I saw him completely naked. Oh my gosh, yeah, she saw everything. Back in the present, said psychopathic villain is sitting right across from her, sipping tea like butter would not melt. Evelyn studies him and it all clicks. It's exactly like the description in the novel. He's definitely the right guy. So what brings you here? She manages. His answer is ice cold. I'm sure you already know the answer to that. Her stomach drops. I'm sorry, she blurts out. He tilts his head. For what? Cue Evelyn's brain short-circuiting. Pardon. I'm asking, he presses, colder now, what exactly you're sorry for. Cornered, Evelyn's mind rewinds. Last night I'm sure It started simply enough. She went to a ball with her fiancé, Edwin. Her strict parents were away in the south meeting her younger brother during his travels, so for once she figured she would stay out past curfew and actually enjoy herself. But that night, out in the venue's garden, she got the shock of her life, her own fiancé, bare backside and all, caught fooling around with another woman. One slap later, Edwin is left dazed on the ground and not looking too proud of himself. Evelyn called off the engagement right then and there, and in a blind fury, marched back inside and downed an entire glass of whiskey. I can't remember a thing after that, she thinks. How does one glass of whiskey get someone that drunk? Turns out first-time drinker. I'm sorry, she admits to Kale, I honestly don't remember what happened last night. I mean, it was just a one-night fling, right? She offers hopefully. A one-night fling, he repeats, and somehow those three words sound like a death sentence. She backpedals instantly, then, a one-night hangout. So your definition of hanging out, he says, leaning in, voice dripping with menace. Is that no further translation needed? Evelyn just hiccups, mortified beyond words. He flicks his boot and drops the real bomb. You lured me in with sweet words, then stripped me down and had your way with me. Her jaw hits the floor. I did. And now that you've had your fill of me, he says, you want nothing more to do with me. He leans in, smirking like a man who already knows he has won this round. Is this how you treat everyone? He presses. She stammers back, I admit I ran off, but isn't that just how one-night stands work, or should I have stuck around for some tomato stew with him the next morning to cure our hangover? Her voice trails off, mortified at her own excuse. I'm really sorry about all this, she tries. It was entirely my mistake, so if there's any way I could make it up to you. Yes, he says immediately, pulling out a rolled document. There is. He tosses it into her lap. She catches it, baffled. What is this? She unrolls it, and it is a contract. Evelyn Florence, hereby Party A, agrees to become the legal spouse of Party B as compensation for taking advantage of Party B. Party A shall faithfully fulfill their marital duties to Party B as Duchess until death. Oh, and there is a footnote. The courtship period will last exactly 1 month. The wedding ceremony will be held afterward in approximately 1 month. Evelyn's brain is officially fried. Worse, it is already signed, her signature right there in ink. I was saving myself for marriage, you know, he says, cool as ever. But now that I've given myself to you, you'll have to take responsibility, don't you think? And just like that, Evelyn's quiet little side character life is officially over. Evelyn, he says, low, and the temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. Her whole body goes rigid, trembling. In that exact moment, she gets a very, very bad feeling. I'm going to die, she thinks, while in her head the villain lets out a full villain cackle. Mwahaha, indeed. In her imagination, he is already carving her up like dinner, fork and knife in hand, with her sitting pretty on the plate. He's definitely going to kill me, and on that cliffhanger, dear viewer, we will have to wait for the next chapter. He wants to make it official fast. Shall we introduce each other to our families in 2 weeks' time? Evelyn stares down at a marriage contract in her hands. No matter how she squints, that messy scrawl is definitely her own handwriting. Problem is, she has zero memory of signing it. But when did I even sign this? Are you serious? She manages, still reeling from the whole situation. She rounds on him, "You want to get married just because we spent one night together." Kale doesn't even blink. "Of course," he says flatly, "did you think I'd give myself to you for free?" "Quite frankly, I don't think this kind of transactional relationship is right," he adds, and with dramatic lightning behind her, she fires right back. "That's for me to decide." Scrambling for an out, Evelyn tries a new angle, "But my parents are away at the moment." Kale counters instantly. He already knows the Count and Countess will be back in exactly 2 weeks. Her stomach drops. "How do you know that?" "This can't be happening," she thinks, spiraling while he just watches her unravel. She tries again. "It hasn't been that long since I broke off my previous engagement. If I bring home a new man already," she reasons, letter clutched in her hands. She spirals harder, rambling about her parents shipping her off to a convent and the brutal rumors that would follow. She just keeps going, spinning out one worst-case scenario after another. "What exactly are you trying to say?" she finally blurts, then pivots hard. "We should cancel the contract." "Is definitely not what I'm trying to say," he cuts in, and the room goes cold with the sheer force of his no. Arms crossed, unreadable as always, he throws out a new demand. He'd actually like the engagement to run a little longer. Evelyn just stares at him, completely speechless. The contract clearly states 1 month, she reminds him. His answer, "That's way too short." Blindsided, she mumbles a confession under her breath. She's actually never dated anyone in her life. Kale, surprisingly earnest for once, admits he wants to spend that time actually doing normal couple stuff, going on dates, and "Oh, what the heck," she blurts, completely thrown by his sincerity. "Fine," she decides, jaw clenched, "she'll just play along and buy herself some time." "Why don't we?" she starts, floating a compromise. Like it or not, the seal comes down on the paper. The deal is getting signed. Later, Kale calls her bluff outright. "If you're simply trying to stall for time, I suggest you stop now." Her mind goes blank. "He read my mind," she thinks, horrified. I'm not that cunning a person, I assure you," she stammers, guilt written all over her face. He says he takes responsibility for his words, dead serious, and her nerve just withers under the weight of it. "I'm serious." She offers a compromise. Would 2 months be enough? It works. Riding the high, she gets greedy. "How about 3? He shuts that down flat. 1 month it is. Panicking, she backpedals instantly. "Actually, 2 months sounds great." For a second, neither of them says a word. "Then I'll make time tomorrow," he says, rising to leave. Time for what? She wonders, watching his gloved hand reach toward her. He leans in, slow and deliberate. He starts, reaching for her hand among the roses. Her heart slams in her chest. "Badump, badump." "Your Grace," she manages. "You're too close, way too close," and her brain short-circuits completely. His hand hovers just shy of hers. Neither of them moves an inch. Then he says it, easy as anything, "Time to get to know each other." She's left standing there, cheeks burning, long after he's gone. The afternoon quietly fades into evening. Night creeps in over the estate, an owl hooting somewhere out in the dark. The manor sits quiet under the moonlight. Back in her room, Evelyn hugs a pillow, replaying the whole disaster in her head. "This is bad," she mutters, burying her face deeper. "Not only did I fail to cancel the contract, but now I have to go on a date with him too." The man in question, Kale Harthian. And then it hits her, she's read this story before. In the novel, Kale picks out a convenient woman to pose as his lover, purely to scare off every bothersome marriage proposal that comes his way. And in that story, the woman he uses ends up killed. So I'm that nameless lover, Evelyn realizes, blood running cold. Cue the internal meltdown, "But I'm too young to die." Emily finds her lady still spaced out. "You're still like that," she sighs. Evelyn sniffles into her sleeve. Emily, 22 and no stranger to her lady's antics, looks genuinely alarmed this time. "I knew something was off with you," Emily says. "Just what happened between you and the Duke?" She flashes back to that very morning, catching Evelyn sneaking back through the gate. "Well, you see," Evelyn begins, bracing herself. Cue Evelyn dramatically clinging to Emily like a lifeline. "You're supposed to be on my side," she wails. Emily's not having it. "You promised to take responsibility, then left the man alone in bed and ran." "But I was drunk," Evelyn protests. "I don't even remember signing the contract." Emily just studies her for a long moment. "So what are you going to do?" Emily asks. Evelyn clutches her own hands, nervous. The contract already exists, Emily reminds her. At this rate, you're about to get a very harsh scolding from the Count. Evelyn dissolves into dramatic sobbing right there on the spot. Then Emily drops the line that changes everything. If you really don't want to get married, there is a way out of this. Evelyn's eyes light up. What is it? She practically vibrates, waiting for the answer. You know what you are, Emily, a freaking genius. Emily just smirks, hoo-hoo. Step 1 of the plan, figure out exactly what Kale likes and hates, starting with tomorrow's date. Emily, suddenly very invested in this scheme, plants her hands on her hips. He's bound to have things he dislikes, she reasons, and that's exactly what they're going to dig up. Morning comes fast. Date day, knock knock, time to get ready. Emily helps her lady get dressed for the part, one final touch at a time. Word arrives, Duke Harthian has arrived. The plan is perfect, Evelyn tells herself, psyching up as they head out together. Kale takes her hand to help her along, she gulps. They make their way out together. Just you wait, she thinks, walking beside him. I'll have you completely figured out by the end of today. They settle into a private train compartment for the date. Then I'll make you leave me, she vows internally right before Kale stops her cold. Evelyn, that's not your seat, pardon. Then where is my seat, she asks, mortified. He offers his hand to help her across. Plop, she lands right next to him, way closer than the plan called for. She freezes completely. Then it clicks, she's basically in his lap. What do you think you're doing? Are you uncomfortable, he asks, infuriatingly calm. Dizzy and flustered, she backpedals hard. Not at all, your broad embrace is actually quite comfortable. But I think this is a bit fast. His hand settles at her shoulder. But you seem to like this before, he says, way too pleased with himself. What, her brain just stops working. He leans in with that infuriating smile, being on top of me. You liked it, didn't you? He presses, clearly enjoying this way too much. He reaches toward her collar, and she goes completely rigid, eyes wide. Evelyn's whole face lights up like a stop sign, and all she can manage is a mortified squeak. This pervert, she finally sputters, though Kale just looks amused, insisting her turning red is proof enough. She accuses him of impure intentions. He swears, straight-faced, that his mind was purely innocent. Nobody believes that for a second. Really now, she mutters, unconvinced as he pulls her in closer anyway. He studies her with that unreadable crimson stare, silently wondering if she's just a little bit oblivious. Their fingers lace together, quiet and easy, like the bickering never happened. Once we're married, he murmurs against her ear, I should just keep you locked in our bedroom, and seals it with a kiss that leaves her stunned. The carriage rolls on, their joined hands catching the last of the afternoon light. I don't want any other men looking at you, he growls and steals another kiss before she can argue. She yelps a flustered excuse me, your grace, which he answers by just kissing her again. She asks politely to be put down. He simply refuses, arms staying locked around her. As the carriage clunks along the road, Evelyn tries to reason with him. They're in public, and they're still basically strangers getting to know each other. Isn't this improper? She squeaks, panicking that passers-by might already mistake them for a married couple. Then she catches the small, satisfied smile creeping onto his face and immediately gets suspicious. You seem to be unaware of something, he says, cryptic as ever, eyes glinting. Married or not, in a carriage or a castle, he shrugs, the locations never mattered much to him. He lifts her hand and presses a kiss to her knuckles like it's the most natural thing in the world. He tips her chin up, smug and unhurried, clearly enjoying every second of her flustered glare. Yeah, I know, he says with a grin, and tells her to just relax and stay still for one more kiss. Their carriage finally rolls to a stop outside a quiet little town, ending what has clearly been a very long, very handsy ride. Kale looks utterly wrung out, while Evelyn beams beside him like she just won something. Turns out she spent the whole ride getting kissed relentlessly, and somehow she's the one telling him his stamina is terrible. He twitches, indignant, snapping back that this is entirely her fault, thank you very much. Your stamina is just inhuman, he grumbles, arms crossed, I'm the normal one here. Evelyn recalls hearing that inexperienced men are sloppy kissers, all slobber and no finesse. So what exactly is going on with this guy, because he was suspiciously, infuriatingly good at it? I see red flags, she declares, glaring, half convinced she wasn't actually his first. It's true though, he says simply. She blinks. True, what is? That you're my first, he clarifies, and even a passing attendant nearby does a visible double take at that one. You're lying, aren't you? She presses. Why would I lie about that? He fires back, dead serious. It doesn't add up to her. First kisses are supposed to be clumsy and awkward, not whatever that was. He just shrugs it off with a smirk. Guess he's simply a natural. Hold up, Evelyn practically shouts, throwing her hands up, completely unwilling to let that slide. He pouts back at her, pointing out that she was the one who insisted they take things slow. I meant emotionally, not physically, she whispers back sharply, meaning their thoughts and feelings, not this, and reminds him he agreed to it, Your Grace. She lays down the law, no more kissing today. He twitches like she's just slapped him. But Evelyn, he starts nodding toward her shoes, kicked clean off somewhere along the way. What is it? She asks, not following yet. You called me by my name just fine when you were under me all night, he points out coolly. Why so formal now? Evelyn freezes solid. Because I have no other choice, she stammers. He tilts his head. Oh, why's that exactly? She hesitates, making him promise not to get angry first. He swears, easy as anything, that he's never been angry a day in his life. The dramatic, glowing-eyed scowl on his face begs to differ. Buddy, you look terrifying right now. So, you kinda scare me, she admits, which is exactly the wrong thing to say to a guy insisting he's totally calm. Trembling, she reminds him loudly that he promised not to get angry. I'm not angry, he says flatly, looking like he could set the whole street on fire with his eyes alone. You look very angry though, she squeaks, and then he says her name, low and serious, and she goes stiff. Yes, she manages, bracing herself as he reaches for her hand among the flowers. Gently, he asks her to drop the formalities and the titles altogether. They walk on together, hand in hand, the tension melting into something a lot softer. Just call me by my name, he says simply. She opens her mouth, caught somewhere between flustered and touched. I'll remember that, Kale, she finally says, and just like that, the wall between them gets a little smaller. Alone with her thoughts, Evelyn's heart is absolutely hammering. Why does he have to be so ridiculously hot? Calm down, my heart, she begs herself, failing spectacularly at composure. She shakes it off, reminding herself she's actually here on a mission, to figure out what Kale likes. A sudden mouthwatering smell stops her mid-thought. It's drifting from a bustling little bakery down the street, awning flapping, a crowd already gathering. Evelyn gets swept toward it before she's even decided to move. Turns out it's limited edition waffles, dropping today only, and she is fully, completely invested. She holds one out to Kale with a grin. Want a bite? Ever the gentleman, Kale waves off her offer and insists on buying a whole batch himself, telling them to just rest. As he strides off toward the bakery, Evelyn lets out a small, surprised breath. Her maid drifts up beside her, watching him go with a knowing look. He's incredibly thoughtful, isn't he? The maid teases. You think so? Evelyn groans, face already betraying her. Privately, she's still turning it over. What does Kale actually want from her? Then unheard, a colder thought curls behind his easy smile. Be nice to her and then kill her. It's the thought process of a stone-cold psychopath, and Evelyn has no idea just how close her instincts are, panicking that this whole sweet act might be part of some scheme. Her maid, oblivious to all that, teases that the Duke seems like a great catch, so why even bring a chaperone along? I'm scared to be alone with him, Evelyn blurts, and you don't understand what? The maid asks, you see. Before she can finish, a shout cuts through the street, someone's calling her name. Both women freeze and turn. Evelyn's eyes go wide with disbelief at who she sees. It's Edwin, red hair a mess, chest heaving like he sprinted the whole way here. Just where have you been wandering off to? He demands. Do you know how much I've been looking for you since? That day, Evelyn cuts him off cold. Their engagement is over and she has nothing left to say to him. He grabs her wrist anyway, refusing to let her walk away without hearing him out. Her mind flashes back, unwilling, to whatever happened between them that day. Before it can go any further, a hand closes firmly around his wrist, pulling him off her, and somewhere in the wreckage, someone admits that day really was a mistake. The camera lingers on the jeweled choker at her throat, a reminder of the engagement she is about to blow up. Someone grabs her arm and Evelyn rounds on him, seething, okay, what of it, let go. It's her ex, Edwin, and he is not taking the hint, sneering that she should just save it and keep living a life full of mistakes. Evelyn drops the bomb. She has already written her parents to call off the engagement. Edwin balks, insisting he will not allow it. She is done arguing. She's not marrying him, she snaps, and he lost any say the moment he got cozy with another woman at that party. Rain soaking them both, she fires off one last parting shot. Maybe he should worry about keeping his own backside in check instead of chasing her. Edwin jabs a finger after her, sputtering, completely unable to land a comeback. Nearby, a couple of onlookers whisper about his backside, and Edwin turns beet red, realizing the whole street just heard that. Back home, Evelyn recaps the whole mess to her maid, huffing that it was all that jerk's fault to begin with. Then her eyes go wide with dread, like she just heard a name she really did not want to hear. And there he is, Kale, looming with that unreadable crimson stare, and Evelyn instantly shrinks. Please, she thinks, please don't let that be Kale. It's Kale, of course, cooing, "I understand you're upset, baby," while clinging to her like a vice, and Evelyn is frantically trying to peel him off. He drops the sweet act for a beat, reminding her coolly that breaking off an engagement is not something you just do on a whim. He tells her to think it over. She knows how fast rumors travel in high society, doesn't she? Think about it, Evelyn, he says, all charm and menace at once. Wouldn't it be embarrassing, he muses, to be known as the woman with the failed engagement? Oh, and he thinks he just heard a dog barking somewhere. Subtle, Kale, real subtle. Before she can argue, Kale scoops her up and carries her straight off, leaving Edwin grasping at empty air. Evelyn gasps, completely swept off her feet, quite literally. Kale, she stammers, caught completely off guard by the sudden rescue. In his head, though, Kale's already sizing up her ex with pure venom, so there was some son of a bitch here after all. Somehow, the terrifying Duke is now delicately holding a plate of adorable waffles, and it does not suit him even a little. Evelyn shoots Edwin one last warning glance, he'd better. Kale's eyes flash pure murder as he glares Edwin down. Remove those hands right this second, he growls, and somehow it's scarier than any shout. Kale, Evelyn, and her maid stroll through town like nothing happened, and heads immediately start turning. Duke Kale Harthian, people whisper. Why is he getting involved in someone else's business, they wonder. Edwin catches up to them, forcing a smile. What brings you here? Evelyn's maid cuts him off instantly, tattling that he was harassing them. Kale just stands there listening, waffles in hand, radiating quiet menace. Kale, that man grabbed my arm, Evelyn tattles while a panicked Edwin tries to get a word in. She keeps piling it on. He yelled at her, he humiliated her, the whole 9 yards. Kale deadpan just asks, and what else? Oh, and he also said he would never allow their engagement to end, Evelyn adds. Does he think he's her father or something? Poor Edwin just sweats in the corner. She keeps going. He claimed her reputation would be ruined if she broke it off, and he got all clingy and gross about it too. Kale's expression goes completely flat and cold, and that is never a good sign. Turning to Edwin with a painfully polite smile, Kale asks Evelyn to excuse them for just a moment. Why? Evelyn asks, waffles still in hand, sensing nothing good is about to happen. I have something to discuss with Lord Edwin Hansworth, Kale says, voice like ice. His expression doesn't so much as flicker, which is somehow worse than if he'd been shouting. In private, he adds, and the temperature in the room seems to drop 10 degrees. Thunder cracks overhead as Evelyn and her maid exchange a nervous glance. This can't be good. Edwin bolts, calling back for Evelyn to wait, but Kale is already closing in behind him. Kale grabs him by the collar, without a flicker of hesitation. Lord Edwin Hansworth, Kale says pleasantly, and Edwin flinches like he's just been sentenced. The shadows seem to swallow them both as Kale leans in close. The thing about me is, Kale starts, and his eyes glint with something genuinely unhinged. I really hate dragging things out, he says, almost bored right before things get very bad for Edwin. Edwin's scream rips through the panel in blood red, and honestly we don't need to see the details. The sun sets peacefully over the city, as if absolutely nothing horrific just happened a few streets over. After that, Evelyn narrates dryly, I went home after being thoroughly taken on a date. Her maid hands her a gift box while she just collapses in exhaustion. Kale shows off his bloodied hands with a casual shrug. Oh, this isn't my blood, so don't worry about it. somehow that does not help. Evelyn, leaning on him half-dead, thinks he may have helped her this time, but what happens if she's the one who gets on his nerves next? Her maid chimes in, teasing that she was so busy being spoiled rotten by the Duke that she didn't actually learn a single useful thing about him all day. Evelyn slumps further. She dumped Edwin only to end up stuck with the worst villain imaginable. "My lady," her maid says gently, as Evelyn groans that at this rate she's definitely getting herself killed. She's so drained she basically melts into a heap on the floor, dress and all. Then an invitation arrives, freshly sealed, from the Purell family. Evelyn brightens. It must be from her friend Kate, probably just a tea party invite. She and her maid trade a look, something clearly brewing behind her eyes. "That's it," Evelyn suddenly beams, practically glowing with a brand new terrible idea. Her maid blinks, half curious, half worried. "What is?" Kate, Evelyn explains, has tons of dating experience. She's basically a certified expert. In Evelyn's imagination, Kate practically sparkles with romantic wisdom. The plan forms: pick Kate's brain for tips, then use them to figure out how to get Kale to dump her. Step 2, scribbled with total confidence: call off this marriage for real this time. Kale's glowing red eyes in her mind's eye suggest that might not go smoothly. "It's the perfect plan, Emily," Evelyn declares with a triumphant thumbs up. "Ta-da!" Emily just stares, silently wondering if her lady is going to survive this. Fists clenched with determination, Evelyn vows she is finally going to figure Kale out. Rain pours as she groans, exasperated. Why are men so impossible to understand? She finds Kate in the garden, sobbing, with another friend quietly trying to comfort her. Kate wails between sobs that how dare he dump her, that awful bastard, she'll curse him forever. Her calmer friend just sits there, serene as ever, letting the drama wash over her. Evelyn and her maid wander in, parasol in hand, completely bewildered by the scene. "What is going on here?" Evelyn mutters. "I thought she was supposed to be the dating expert." "You're here, Evelyn," the calm friend Dorothy greets her. "Hi, Dorothy," Evelyn replies. "Why is Kate crying?" Kate spirals into the whole story. She'd only asked her ex to report if he ever exchanged more than 3 words with another woman. Her friends can barely hold back their laughter. "That's all I asked for," Kate insists, gesturing at the mountain of tattling letters she apparently demanded. In the flashback, her ex just looks at her, drained, and says flatly, "You're exhausting, Kate." Kate finally connects the dots, devastated. What man wants to date an obsessive woman? He was so cruel, she wails into her hands, full meltdown mode. Something clicks behind Evelyn's eyes. "Thaw, that's it," she declares. "I'll be an obsessive woman," and really, nothing about that plan sounds like it could possibly go wrong. Kate is not buying it. Through the tears, she wails back, "Are you even trying to comfort me right now, Dorothy?" Off to the side, Evelyn's eyes go sharp. An idea is forming. All right, she thinks, I will show him exactly what obsession looks like. So this, Evelyn realizes, is the secret to getting dumped. She slides a plate of sweets over to Kate to cheer her up, notebook already spinning in her head. More cake, more tea, more girl talk. The afternoon rolls on while Evelyn quietly takes notes. Turns out obsession, Kate style, looked like tracking a boyfriend's daily plans, his meals, and everything in between. Evelyn is taking careful mental notes. Dorothy, ever the sensible one, turns the conversation her way instead. "Hey," she asks, "are you doing all right these days, Evelyn?" Kate leans in with the follow-up nobody really wants to answer. "So, how is Edwin doing?" Dorothy just smiles it off with a light "ah, some things are better left alone, at least for today." Suddenly Evelyn remembers she has somewhere very important to be. "Sorry, girls," she chirps, "gotta run," and she's gone before anyone can ask why. Now is not the time for tea and chat, she tells herself. It is time to put Operation Obsession into motion right away. Her attendant asks the obvious question, "Shall we head home now, my lady?" "Nope, absolutely not." Evelyn's answer is a flat, nervous no, gulp included. She squares her shoulders, blushing but resolute. There is a plan to carry out and she is not backing down now. "Take me to the Harthian estate," she declares, and just like that, the mission is officially on. Standing at the gates, Evelyn is almost disappointed. The estate looks surprisingly normal. She half expected a haunted house. But as she climbs the steps, every horror story about House Harthian comes flooding back to her. Rumor has it the estate basement used to be packed with dead bodies, cheerful stuff. Apparently the previous duke took up taxidermy as a hobby of all things. And the previous duchess supposedly bathed in the blood of young maids to preserve her youth. Wonderful family history. A flash of white catches the corner of her eye, just a maid's uniform, but Evelyn's nerves are already fried. Naturally, she assumed everything about this place would be terrifying, and then she hears footsteps approaching. A friendly voice greets her instead. "Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you, Lady Evelyn." The estate's butler steps forward, polished and pleasant, nothing like the nightmare fuel she just imagined. He looks so kind and put together, Evelyn thinks, a little stunned. Honestly, she expected someone a lot more intimidating. She's a little embarrassed now at how quickly she judged this whole household off of ghost stories. "You're here to see His Grace, yes?" he asks. Yes, she manages, still finding her footing. "He's in his office," the butler explains, and offers to lead the way himself. Evelyn follows through the grand halls, composing herself with every step. "He must be busy," she frets. "Maybe I should come back another time." Not at all, the butler assures her His Grace asked to have her escorted straight there. She expected a duke to be swamped with work, but something about this doesn't quite add up yet. What if this just makes him even angrier, she worries. She expected to be scared. She's scared anyway. "No, don't lose your nerve now," Evelyn tells herself. Even if it makes him angry, she needs to do whatever it takes to get away from him. Because if she can't break off this engagement, she is, in her own words, absolutely done for. She peers around the corner, sizing up the mission ahead. All right, let's see. Out comes the secret weapon, her notebook freshly labeled Operation Obsession. Step 1, make him report every single time he leaves the house. The plan is scribbled out in painstaking, slightly unhinged detail, complete with little doodles. Rule 2, share every meal, stay in touch all day, and no excuses about being busy. Apparently that's just basic etiquette between lovers. She cackles to herself, notebook clutched tight. As long as she uses this exact technique from Kate, this cannot possibly fail. "Do you enjoy studying?" the butler asks, breaking the silence with some light small talk. "Not really," she admits. She's just making use of any spare time she has. He grins. He'd been curious what kind of person she was, and it's an honor to finally meet her. Evelyn takes the compliment in, a little caught off guard by how genuinely warm this place is turning out to be. They reach a set of towering doors. The butler knocks, knock, knock. From somewhere inside, a voice simply answers, "Come in." The doors stand there waiting, while Evelyn takes one last steadying breath. "Please have a good time, my lady," the butler offers as he sends her off with a nervous gulp of his own. Alone now, Evelyn steps fully into the room. "Remember the plan, Evelyn," she reminds herself. There is no backing out now. Time to make Kale absolutely sick of her. Out loud, she announces, formal as ever, "I have a favor to ask of you, Your Grace." Across the office, Kale barely glances up from his papers, perched casually against his desk. A beat of silence stretches out between them. "I won't grant it," he says flatly before she's even said what it is. Evelyn is floored. Why not? "Your Grace," he echoes back at her, clearly unimpressed by the formality. "I'm sure I told you not to address me like that," he reminds her. Flustered, she course corrects on the spot. "I have a favor to ask of you, Kale." She lays her notes flat on the desk, leaning in close, a little too close, honestly. Kale blinks, caught briefly off guard by the sudden closeness. Oops, she realizes she got a little too loud, quickly apologizing for interrupting him when he's clearly busy. "So what's this favor about?" he asks. Well, she explains, they're in that getting to know each other phase, which basically means they're dating. He agrees flatly, yes. So she proposes, why not use this chance to learn everything they can about each other? For example, he asks, intrigued. Evelyn takes a breath, working up her nerve for what comes next. A confident little smirk crosses her face. The trap is officially set. She's heard that couples, apparently, share their daily plans with one another. "So Kale," she says sweetly, "I'd like you to always tell me who you meet, where you go, and exactly what you're up to." Kale's expression barely holds steady under the request. "Share every little thing with me," she pushes, and his face goes visibly rigid. Evelyn immediately regrets everything. But she's not done yet. "One more thing," she adds. "He should also report every breakfast, lunch, and dinner and how each one tasted." Basically a running food diary. She'd like a brief, regular report, thank you very much. This is all just so I can get to know you better, she insists, all wide-eyed innocence. Hands clasped, posture perfect, she is fully committed to the bit now. And if he's ever too busy, well, he can just sleep less to fit it in. She won't accept not having enough time as an excuse. As an excuse, Kale's glare could cut glass at this point. He's glaring at me, she panics internally, then hastily backpedals. Of course, if it's too bothersome, you don't have to do it, she says. I'm just saying it would be nice. Flailing, she tries to walk it all back at once. Actually, never mind, ignore everything she just said. Kale, still unreadable, simply asks, anything else? Is there anything else you wish to ask of me, he presses. Evelyn is completely baffled by how calm he sounds. No, she stammers, that's all for now. Her heart pounds in her ears, badum, as the tension in the room refuses to break. Kale studies her quietly, privately wondering to himself, is he angry right now or isn't he? Judging by his expression, the narrator notes dryly, it seems like the operation was actually a success, though nobody in that room looks convinced of that yet. Evelyn trembles where she stands, bracing for absolutely anything. Still trembling, still waiting, and that is exactly where this one leaves us hanging. This sprawling mansion belongs to the Harthian family, home to our leading lady Evelyn and the fiancé she is currently plotting against. Over breakfast, Evelyn grabs a letter off the tray and announces she is sure of what it says. Her maid Emily has no idea what she is talking about. Evelyn is positive this letter from her fiancé Kale is a breakup notice, and honestly she looks a little too thrilled about it. She figures he finally got fed up with how, in her words, rudely obsessive she got with him yesterday. Emily backs her up, insisting Kale was scowling harder than she has ever seen. Flashback to yesterday, a dark figure at the gate coolly tells her it would be best if she went home for the day. That figure is Kale himself, and this manga never lets you forget just how ominous the guy can look standing in a doorway. Evelyn is already rehearsing her reaction, act appropriately sad, then ultimately agree to the breakup. She rips into the letter and immediately freezes. What in the world is this? It opens with Dear Evelyn, which is not exactly how you start a breakup letter. Page after page of dense, careful handwriting, this man does nothing halfway. Turns out he is apologizing for sending her home so abruptly. He had an urgent meeting with his vassals to get to. In the flashback, Kale strides off, vowing to follow through on exactly what was asked of him. Business first, always. Please do not worry, the letter insists as his pen keeps moving. He has recorded literally everyone he was with yesterday, everywhere he went, and everything he ate, plus the full business reports from that vassal meeting, attached for her review. Evelyn is now buried under a landslide of paperwork. This is not a love letter, it is an audit. And Emily cheerfully informs her there is one more page. Because of course there is a full meal plan attached too. Breakfast gets a full calorie count and a star rating. 4 stars for the fruit salad, 5 for the toast, no complaints whatsoever. Lunch gets graded too. He would have preferred the steak rare, but hey, 5 stars anyway. Dinner menu, calorie counts, and a full report on where every single ingredient came from, straight from his personal chef. Yes, he lists the origins of the vegetables and the fish too. Somewhere out there an accountant is nodding approvingly. Even the chicken on the menu gets its own dramatic little illustration. This man does not do small gestures. Then comes the P.S., and Kale's smirking little addendum is somehow more unsettling than the entire itinerary. For smoother communication, he writes, additional measures seem necessary. That sentence is doing a lot of heavy lifting. His plan, deploy a trustworthy knight as their go-between so if he ever has to leave in a hurry, she will hear it straight from him. Sure enough, a hooded figure shows up at the estate. Evelyn calls out for Emily, half startled. Emily deadpans that things have gone from bad to worse. Now every one of Evelyn's movements gets reported straight to the Duke. Through that very night, no less, Evelyn's jaw drops. Is she being monitored now? Emily shrugs it off as protection, sure, but also she notes Evelyn can forget about ever running away. Evelyn lets out a strangled little screech, torn somewhere between horrified and annoyingly a little bit charmed. How could this have happened, she wails. Why is everything going so wrong for her? Papers go flying everywhere as she spirals. just a normal Tuesday in this household apparently. Once the dust settles, Emily just watches her lady, a little worried this whole mess is getting to her. Being upset, Evelyn scolds herself is no excuse to make a mess, so down onto the floor she goes to clean it up. She scrambles across the floor gathering scattered papers, muttering the whole way. Then something on one of the sheets catches her eye. Wait a second, Kale purchased the Western Mining District. Emily recalls hearing that place is basically dying, with miners leaving in droves as production drops. No, Evelyn murmurs, staring at the report, that cannot be a coincidence. She is pretty sure from what she remembers of the original story that this struggling mine is exactly where mana stones get discovered later on. Same story with the Dorman region out east, written off as barren but actually sitting on prime terrain. Kale has been quietly snapping up exactly the land that is about to become priceless. To pull off calls like that without knowing a single page of the original story, how is that even possible? In the novel she remembers he was branded the villainous mastermind of the whole saga, and honestly that reputation is starting to check out. Kale really is something else, she admits, curling up with the pages. This is, annoyingly, a genuinely fun read. Let's see what happens next, she thinks, eyes glued to the page. What happens next is a very steamy scene, Kale in the bathtub, very much not wearing clothes. The novel does not hold back on the details, and neither does the artwork. Evelyn's whole face goes up in flames. She crumples the page in her fists, mortified beyond words. This, she squeals, this will absolutely not do. Emily just blinks at her, completely lost. Evelyn decides she needs a stronger tactic than sitting around blushing, especially since she has another date with Kale tomorrow. Not sure I can help with this one, my lady, Emily offers, watching her spiral. That is it, Evelyn decides. She is going to intrude on his personal life even harder this time. Her plan: burrow straight into Kale's most intimate private spaces, and make a properly obsessive mess of her own while she is at it. Cue the rooster, morning has arrived and so has her terrible plan. Next morning at the Harthian estate, she is already on the move. The knight assigned to keep tabs on her is completely flustered by her sudden arrival. Lady Evelyn, you are here early, he manages, as she huffs and puffs from sprinting the whole way over, having barely slept plotting her next move. He points out his grace was supposed to come pick her up himself. Did something urgent happen? Busted, Evelyn laughs it off, nothing like that, she just could not wait any longer to see his grace. Sure, Evelyn, sure. Determined, she sets her sights on one destination, his bedroom. Take me there right this second, she orders the poor knight. He stammers a pardon, but Evelyn is already scheming. If she barges in and annoys Kale enough, surely that will finally do the trick. The knight looks like he is carrying the weight of the world just processing this request. She clears her throat and reminds herself she is going to be Kale's wife eventually anyway, so really, what is the harm? My God, is all the flustered knight can manage. His Grace's bedroom is at the end of that corridor, he finally relents. She takes off down the hall at a dead sprint, feeling more than a little guilty about it. Lying to Hugo does not sit right with her, but this, she insists to herself, is a matter of life and death. Hand on the door handle, she braces herself, clack. Evelyn, charge, she bursts through the doors, already yelling that she is sorry. She barrels in, eyes shut, fully committed to the bit. I rushed over because I missed you too much, she starts, right before her whole rehearsed line dies in her throat. Because standing right there, dark hair still damp, is Kale. Water is still dripping off him from the bath he clearly just stepped out of. Evelyn freezes mid-reach, completely blindsided by her own scheme. Kale calmly adjusts his robe, entirely unbothered, which somehow makes it worse for her. The two of them just stand there in the hallway, robe and all, in the most excruciating silence of her life. The door shuts behind him with a soft, damning thud. Evelyn lets out an absolutely mortified shriek. I'm so sorry, Kale, she blurts, practically vibrating with embarrassment. She is frozen in place, barely able to look at her own feet, let alone at him. I did not think he would be completely naked, she thinks, heart absolutely hammering. Why, she groans internally, is nothing going right for her today? Then, out of nowhere, another burst of movement and she wobbles, completely thrown off balance. I'm gonna fall, she yelps, arms flailing. Kale grabs her before she can hit the floor, pulling her right against him. For a moment neither of them moves, caught in that ridiculous, charged little accident. Her feet dangle off the ground as she manages a small, flustered thank you. Evelyn, he says quietly, and somehow that one word undoes her completely. He leans in close, and for a second the whole hallway seems to hold its breath. This so-called dangerous, obsessive fiancé is looking at her like she is the only thing in the room. Chapter's over, and yeah, we are all a little wrecked too. Even the bonus art cannot resist teasing her for it. Lady Evelyn is so assertive apparently, and Kale is still recovering. Kale catches her mid-escape, dark head bowed close, low and dangerous. Where do you think you're running off to? He holds her right back against him, plaster practically cracking off the wall from how hard he pins her there. Evelyn lets out a mortified shriek, face burning red as a tomato. Turns out she'd been stark naked when she made her break for it, and he's not about to let that slide unremarked. Without another word he scoops her clean off her feet, and her wide eyes say she was not ready for that. He carries her off wrapped in nothing but his robe, cool as you like this is just a normal Tuesday for him. Wait, is all she manages to squeak out, clearly sensing she has zero say in where this is headed. To the bed he announces flatly, like he's reading off a delivery manifest. Put me down, she demands, wriggling in his arms, not that it does her any good. No, he says, one syllable, zero room for negotiation. She's still stuck on it, half in disbelief. Did he really just say the bed? He tosses her down onto the mattress without ceremony, and she lands in a flustered heap. The bed creaks under them, and for a beat, neither of them says a word. His fingers trail along her, slow and deliberate, and her breath catches. He leans in close and well, let's just say the rest of that night is between the two of them. Come morning, Kale can't resist needling her. Isn't this why you barged into my bedroom in the first place? No, it's a misunderstanding, Evelyn protests, though her blush isn't exactly helping her case. His hand slides in regardless, unhurried, like he's already decided he doesn't believe a word of it. You said you came because you missed me, he reminds her. Those were your exact words. Tell me, Evelyn, he murmurs, right before closing the distance with a kiss. Things pick back up right where they left off, her sleeve slipping from her shoulder. Just how much did you miss me? He asks, all smug charm and zero mercy. Evelyn's inner voice is screaming that she has, once again, thoroughly provoked the beast. Kale freezes for a second, caught completely off guard by what she just admitted. A little, he repeats back to himself like he can't quite believe his ears. It all traces back to one quiet confession, I missed you, a little Kale, she'd told him. That's apparently all the invitation he needed. His heart hammers audibly in his chest, composure cracking for once. No, not like a whole lot, all right. Just enough to be curious what you were up to, she backpedals fast. So now let's clear up this misunderstanding and talk. His eye twitches, talking is very clearly not on his agenda. He just stares her down, patience wearing thin and interest very much elsewhere. His fingers find her choker instead, and any hope of a conversation quietly dies right there. I was thoroughly devoured, she admits later, pink-cheeked, and honestly, we'll let you read into that however you like. Once you finish this, I'll take you home, Evelyn, Kale says, all sudden domestic gentleness. Now. He loads up a spoon like he's got all the patience in the world. Say he coaxes, feeding her soup by hand like she's made of glass. She lets him, munching away obediently on the bed beside him. Between bites she shoots him a watery glare. You're so, she starts, unable to even finish the accusation. Cruel, how could you keep going until I literally couldn't move? She finally bursts out, you begged me for it first, he shoots back smug. When did I do that? She sputters, scandalized. Back home she takes it out on him with a couple of solid smacks. You animal. Pervert, she huffs, that's rich, he counters, coming from the one who came onto me our very first night. Then tell me, did you not like it? He presses and she goes instantly, guiltily quiet. Truth is, she loved every second, not that she'd ever admit that to his face. To be honest, she thinks to herself, letting her guard drop for just a moment. She was so happy when he showed up to see her first thing that morning, more than she'd ever say out loud. Have a good night and I'll see you tomorrow, Evelyn, he says gently, pressing a flower into her hand. Her heart does a stupid little flip she absolutely refuses to acknowledge. She heads inside with her dress fluttering and a smile she can't quite scrub off her face. Back in her room, her maid Cupid is waiting with exactly zero chill. Why did you have to go to his bedroom of all places? Evelyn just slumps to the floor, completely wrung out and in no state to defend herself. I thought it was the perfect spot. Cupid insists before adding, oh, also Hugo, the one who showed me the way there, didn't object either. Hugo, Kale's aide, just goes oopsies tilde and quietly wonders if he's somehow ended up in cahoots with his Grace. Seriously, what the heck? Evelyn groans, realizing she's been played by her own household. Still, her mind keeps drifting back to Kale and how strangely sincere he looked. Her whole scheme, she admits to herself, was to barge into his bedroom, annoy him enough that he'd finally tell her to get lost. Instead, all he'd told her was how happy he'd been to see her that morning. Yeah, that plan backfired spectacularly. Across town, Kale lingers alone in the golden evening light, uncharacteristically soft around the edges. My lady, you should sleep in an actual bed. Cupid sighs at Evelyn, passed out face down at her desk, still turning it over. He actually has real feelings for her. But so what? Evelyn mutters to herself, stubborn as ever. You think I'll just fall for that? She reminds herself, not for the first time, that this is a man who could snap and go full psychopath on her any second. Meanwhile, across the estate, someone else has a deadline of his own weighing on him. In 1 week, my parents and younger brother return. So I need to wrap this issue up quietly before it reaches their ears, he mutters, all confidence and calculation. Back in her room, Evelyn curls up around a pillow, clearly still turning the whole mess over in her head. What should I do? She whispers to no one, no closer to an answer than when the day started. The next day, Hugo clears his throat and presents Kale with something official looking. Yes, sir. It's a public announcement. Duke Harthian's first love, first woman and first lover has been revealed. She is Lady Evelyn of House Florence. It reads, smiling like a flower, as graceful as a butterfly, the empire's greatest beauty. The bells ring out across the city announcing it to everyone. The wedding is set for late spring. That's the announcement I've prepared, Hugo explains, watching Kale's reaction carefully. The wedding announcement for the Imperial newspaper, no less, Hugo clarifies, and Kale's expression turns razor sharp. Evelyn, he murmurs her name low, already 3 steps ahead of her. He's clocked exactly what she's been plotting in that pretty head of hers, some scheme to weasel her way out of this. So he's making sure the whole empire knows first. You're not escaping me that easily, Evelyn. Somewhere across town, Evelyn shivers out of nowhere like something very bad just walked over her grave. Inside, though, a maid's already begging someone to calm down, and it isn't even breakfast yet. That someone is Evelyn's father, the Count, already bellowing for a maid to drag his daughter out of bed. Turns out Evelyn is dead to the world, snoring straight through her father's whole tantrum. Evelyn, get out here this instant, he roars loud enough to rattle the windows. That finally does the trick. Evelyn bolts upright in a full panic, no clue what's going on. A maid comes sprinting in with the actual bad news. The Count is back and back early. Bags are already stacked by the door. Whatever's happening, this house is bracing for it. Her father corners her immediately, snapping that he left for a short trip and came home to a full-blown scandal. What in the world, he demands, has she even been doing while he was away? Evelyn just blinks back at him, genuinely baffled, insisting she has no idea what mess he's talking about. Then someone thrusts a newspaper right in her face, and her whole expression freezes. The headline screams it plain as day, the Duke's passionate marriage proposal now public news. And there it is in black and white, Duke Kale Harthian engaged to none other than Lady Evelyn Florence. She never agreed to any of this. Official word has it, Duke Harthian has announced his upcoming marriage to her. The article practically gushes about her too, the eyes of a doe, the grace of a butterfly, according to a man she's barely spoken to. Evelyn still staring at that same paper in shock when her father storms back in, absolutely done with her. There's a limit, he snarls, to how much disgrace one daughter can pile onto this family. First she publicly dumped one fiance, he rages, and now she's marrying someone else entirely. Has she no shame? I'm sorry this happened so suddenly, she tries quietly, but none of it, the broken engagement or this marriage, was ever my doing. Nobody's listening, she just slumps against the staircase, deflating. Her brother lounges nearby, smug as ever, tossing out a mocking "not your fault, huh." The rumor mill's already spinning. Word is she slapped her ex-fiance across the face before calling off the engagement. Thanks to you, her father snaps, this family's reputation is in tatters, while her brother just watches, smirking. Enough, he thunders. How dare she raise her voice at her own little brother, especially when she's been out at all hours herself lately. Something in her finally cracks. Why, she wants to know, is she always the one getting picked on? She remembers a night not long ago when she stood glowing at the center of a party, adored by everyone in the room. Her father isn't hearing any of it. Where was all this outrage, he snaps, when Jacqueline stayed out all night causing trouble of his own? One of the maids leans in with her own grim wisdom. Men and women, apparently, just aren't held to the same standard in this house. Evelyn, please, the maid begs, just apologize to your father and let this go. Evelyn's chest aches at that, quiet tears threatening at the corner of her eyes. Right, she realizes bitterly, I forgot. This is just how my family has always worked. She turns and walks away, spine straight, refusing to give them the apology they want. In this house, women are expected to stay quiet and virtuous, and she realizes, has no voice here at all. Alone now, her tears fall like glass in the dark, one after another. Footsteps approach through the shadows, slow and deliberate, unmistakably someone closing in. No one in this house, she thinks miserably, will ever be on my side. Then a hand closes gently around her and a voice cuts through the dark, demanding to know exactly what Evelyn's supposed to have done wrong. It's Kale, the Duke himself, stepping out of the shadows and pulling her protectively behind him. He straightens her collar with startling tenderness, surrounded by lilies like he's already decided she's his to protect. Her father and brother both freeze on the spot, Duke Harthian here in person. Kale doesn't miss a beat. Dumping a scoundrel like her ex, Edwin, was never Evelyn's fault, and he says so plainly, daring anyone to argue. Evelyn just stares up at him, stunned all over again. What exactly is Kale doing here? He turns to address her parents properly, admitting he should have visited the Florence family himself much sooner. Evelyn stands there in his shadow, still trying to process how fast all of this is moving. To officially announce our marriage, he adds smoothly in person. Dinner that night is a masterclass in tension, her father gulping wine like it's water, her brother side-eyeing everyone at the table. The whole room practically hums with awkward silence, clattering silverware the only thing breaking it. Privately, Kale's thinking the newspaper barely did her justice, she's even prettier than the article let on. Her father chokes on his wine outright while Evelyn goes scarlet, mortified he'd say that at the dinner table, secretly thrilled anyway. Kale, for his part, is quietly pleased with himself. This public announcement has basically locked the whole family into agreeing. At the same time, he knows his own father won't roll over easily on this. The old man cares far too much about appearances not to try and kill this marriage before it happens, or so Kale assumes. So he turns to Evelyn's father directly. He's clearly seen the article by now, so what did he make of it? Evelyn tenses at the question. All right, she thinks, bracing herself, this is it, time for father to finally shut this whole marriage down. Instead, the table just goes painfully, awkwardly quiet. Kale, unbothered, presses on. Surely he must look like a wildly inadequate match in this family's eyes, so he'd like to make a proposal, one that visibly rattles her little brother. Kale's expression stays perfectly composed, giving absolutely nothing away. For the next month, he announces he'd like to take groom lessons to properly prepare for their marriage. The whole table just stares. Bride lessons for Evelyn won't be necessary, he adds, almost as an afterthought. He flashes her a grin that's equal parts charming and unsettling. A husband, he says, should be the one learning to cater to his wife. Evelyn's heart does an unwelcome little skip. And then the real bombshell, he wants Evelyn to move in with him at his residence for that entire month. Wait a minute, she stammers. Her brain short-circuits into one horrified thought. This is, without question, the start of the obsessive villain's confinement arc everyone warned her about. Father, hurry up and object, she silently screams while he only stammers something about your grace. Well, even a duke's proposal aside, he manages, he's not sure about letting his unmarried daughter stay under some man's roof. That's right, Evelyn cheers inside, keep at it. I'll allow it, he says instead, and Evelyn's jaw hits the floor. Business as usual, Kale simply asks when he'd like the lessons to start. In 2 days, ma'am, comes the answer, flat and immediate. My goodness, Evelyn breathes, reeling. Wait, she thinks, panic rising at this rate. 2 days later, right on schedule, Evelyn's a sobbing wreck. This still doesn't feel right. I was left with absolutely no choice, she wails, but to move in with Kale. Her brother, of all people, complains that father barely said a word in protest despite all his earlier nagging at her. Meanwhile, her mother's quietly packing her bags in the next room. Evelyn, she calls gently, as a carriage waits rattling outside. Departure day arrives with Evelyn pouting hard beside Kale, current mood officially logged as upset. In the carriage, dressed to the nines, Evelyn watches the wind whip past, trying to steal her nerves. Kale reassures her not to stress too much over the month of lessons. If she just cooperates, he'll send her home early. That sounds simple enough, she thinks, but the real problem is. They step out of the carriage together, arriving at his estate. He adjusts her cloak with careful hands as they make their way inside. The staff greet him warmly at the door. Welcome back, Your Grace. Rows of maids bow in unison, reporting that everything has been prepared exactly as instructed for Lady Evelyn. But something about their perfectly polite smiles feels just a little too sharp, like there's a version of this house Evelyn hasn't seen yet. Ravens wheel overhead as the staff promise in perfect unison to serve her with the utmost care. Evelyn's whole face goes pale, dread crawling up her spine. From her point of view, this place looks nothing like the charming manor she thought she was walking into, more like something out of a horror novel. Tiny and overwhelmed against the looming hallway, she can only think one thing: the mood here is nothing like it was last time. How, she thinks, utterly defeated, am I supposed to survive an entire month in a place like this? She introduces herself properly, head maid of the whole estate, entirely at Evelyn's service. Please just call me Mrs. Mary, she adds with a polite little bow. All smiles, Mrs. Mary leads the way to show Evelyn around. And here it is, the annex where Evelyn will be staying, a manor so grand it barely looks real. Mrs. Mary explains this used to be the previous Duchess's rooms during her own engagement, so her personal touches are everywhere, right down to the old portraits on the wall. One of those portraits creaks into view, and it is giving off a seriously eerie vibe. The Duchess was particularly fond of this bathroom, Mrs. Mary says brightly. Evelyn manages a nervous I see. Turns out the old Duchess had matching skull-shaped candles custom-made for her bath, and she'd invite the young maids in just to admire them with her. The story takes a dark turn fast, flashes of a blood-red tub and a book titled Wish for Eternal, something cutting off before anyone can finish reading it. Evelyn is shaking head to toe. WH, what an interesting story, she squeaks, clearly regretting she ever asked. Mrs. Mary, seemingly oblivious to the terror she just caused, chirps that Evelyn can call for her with anything at all. Evelyn thanks her, quietly grateful she is only staying a month. They keep walking the halls together, Evelyn a little too aware of every shadow now. A month, Mrs. Mary echoes with a knowing little smile, but you're going to be the next Duchess. Her voice drops into something almost sing-song. You'll keep staying here. Until the day you die, she finishes, way too cheerfully. Somewhere a chain rattles shut. Forever and ever, Mrs. Mary adds, bold way to welcome the new lady of the house, honestly. Right is all Evelyn can manage in response. A knock at the door breaks the tension. Evelyn, I'd like to speak with you for a moment, comes a familiar voice. It's Kale, looking uncharacteristically worn out, his aide trailing quietly behind him. Evelyn perks up and greets him with an easy, "Oh, hello there. Are you all right?" she asks. He gives an oddly formal thumbs up. Splendid, so what's this about? I came to discuss the rules for the groom lessons, Kale announces. Evelyn just blinks. Rules. She straightens up, ready to hear him out. Then Evelyn produces her secret weapon, and the look on Kale's face says he already regrets asking. It's a handwritten manual titled How to Be the Perfect Groom, Chapter 1, Basics. The contents are a lot: 500 squats in a princess-scary position, practicing alluring poses. Kale can only mutter, groom lessons sure are intense. Setting the wild stuff aside, he offers something genuine. No matter how busy they get, he wants to make it a rule to share at least one meal together every day. Aside from that, he tells her she's free to do as she pleases, just no staying out overnight and no secretly meeting up with other men. I can do anything, he double-checks. She nods, yes, anything. Then comes the real bombshell, an entire chest of gold, hers to spend however she likes as her appearance fund. Wow, what a fancy-looking box, Evelyn says, popping the lid open. Coins spill out, sparkling, and her jaw just about hits the floor. Whoa. Kale explains he actually toned the amount down, worried the full sum might feel like too much pressure. Evelyn is not having it. No, this is still way too much. She pauses mid-protest, an idea clearly forming behind those eyes. What if I blew all this money in one day? She wonders aloud, coins clinking in her hand. Wouldn't that make Kale reconsider marrying me? Somewhere, Chibai Kale reacts to the idea of his own personal asset drainer with pure horror. Cash and coins pile up in her imagination, the spending spree of a lifetime taking shape. All right, I'll make plans to spend money like crazy, she declares, only for Mrs. Mary to cut in. You'll be quite busy today, Evelyn. Evelyn blinks, thrown off. Before she can ask what that means, a new voice announces itself. Hello, I'm Madame Antoire, a dressmaker, ledger in hand, quiet assistant in tow. Evelyn practically jumps out of her skin. When did she get here? First up, an absolutely extravagant pink gown, presented with a flourish. Evelyn can only gasp wow, as more and more outfits come out. Layer after layer of gorgeous green fabric follows. This dressmaker does not do things halfway. Gee, good heavens, Evelyn stammers, hands over her mouth. These dresses were always sold out, impossible to find. How did you even get them? Madame Antoire just giggles. I'm so glad you like them. Off to the side, Kale watches with a very satisfied little smirk. Clearly, this was his doing. Madame Antoire and her assistant take their leave with a polite bow. Call for us if you need anything, my lady. The room settles back into quiet, just Evelyn, a mountain of new dresses, and a scheme still very much in motion. Before she can catch her breath, someone else comes rushing in. Oh my, Lady Evelyn. Now it's a sun hat and a pink gown on display, and Evelyn is positively glowing. Every dress suits you perfectly. The fitting rolls on, one gorgeous outfit after another. Try this one on too, and this one. Evelyn barely gets a breath between outfit changes. She's practically spinning in place, buried in fabric and bows. Underneath all the chaos, though, she's still scheming. It must be an enormous sum, right? Enough to completely drain my fund. Madame Antoire, I'll purchase all the dresses here, Evelyn announces grandly. Oh no, Madame Antoire says gently. His Grace has already paid for everything. What? In fact, Kale prepaid so much it exceeds the cost of every dress in the shop. Antoire's already planning a second visit before the season is out. Undeterred, Evelyn regroups. Then instead of dresses, I'll splurge on jewelry. A knock at the door, right on cue, and a new arrival to make her point. Colton of Colton Jewelers at your service, he announces, a master shoemaker popping in right behind him too. Word really travels fast around here. Madame Antoire, still hovering, adds helpfully, you'll need handbags as well, yes, and hats too. By the end of it, Evelyn is buried under a literal mountain of purchases. This won't do, she gasps, realizing the pile still hasn't made a dent in the fund. Forget what Kale pre-ordered, where else can I spend some of my money? She mutters, dead serious about this. She bursts out the door, fully committed to the mission now. I should head out, I can't just let Kale have his way. I swear I'll drain that fund today no matter what. Bold words for a woman about to lose to a chicken skewer stand. Into town she goes, first stop a food stall. Later, sitting on a bench with Mrs. Mary, the day's grand total finally comes in, 2 chicken skewers, that's it. There's nothing I can buy, Evelyn realizes, utterly defeated by her own fiance's spending spree. Turns out Kale prepaid at literally every shop in town. Who knew he would have prepaid for things at every shop in the area? She mutters, equal parts impressed and annoyed. The town stretches out before her, still full of shops she apparently cannot spend a single coin in. I can't spend it on anything, she sighs, maybe I'll just get one more chicken skewer. So there she sits, snack in hand, watching the sunset when something catches her eye. A small pair of hands reaches toward her skewer, staring hard. It's a little boy, dark-haired and sharp-eyed, clearly very interested in that skewer. She ends up sharing her snack with him by the fountain, the kid perched happily at her side. Who's this? She wonders, watching him eat. He glances up at her, cheeks a little pink, clearly not used to the attention. Something about him nags at her. He reminds me of someone, Evelyn murmurs, and if you've been paying attention to a certain smug duke, you might already know exactly who. Meanwhile, the duke works off some energy in the training yard, blades swinging clean and precise. He's told she'll be back before lunch. One wipe of the brow and Kale's composed again like nothing happened. Next report, he says, already moving on to the next thing. He straightens his cuffs without even glancing down, unbothered, as always. His aide bursts in with the next item, dramatic as ever. The report: Lord Kalen has run off from the academy, again. Again, even Kale can't hide the exasperated double-take on that one. Back at the estate, murmurs ripple through the staff. So, what do we do now? Kale reads over another letter alone, quiet and unreadable as ever. Inside, Evelyn's making her rounds, thanking the household staff personally for all their hard work. Please accept my gift of gratitude, she says with a flourish, presenting a box like it's the crown jewels. The maids can't believe their luck. Turns out the fanciest thing Evelyn could think to blow her allowance on was snacks for the servants. Enjoy, she beams, handing another box over, clearly pleased with herself. She hands off the last box with a genuine smile. She's glad she did this. Then her smile drops. Why is everyone glaring at me like that? She panics internally. Is her reckless overspending plan actually working? Maybe the staff hate this. A maid hesitates. My lady, is this really okay? Actually, never mind the money. Evelyn's mind has already drifted somewhere else entirely, to the boy she's calling Kalen. Rewind to last night when she made up her mind on the spot. I'd like to take care of this child here at the estate. Her maid blinks, caught completely off guard. Oh. Just until we find his parents, Evelyn adds, as they slip through the dark streets together. She wraps the boy up in her own cloak without a second thought. He was wandering the plaza all by himself, she explains. I simply couldn't leave him there. Yes, madam, the maid agrees, falling in line with the plan. Back in the present, she creaks the door open with her new houseguest in tow. Inside, he's already made himself comfortable with a book. He's claimed the fanciest chair in the house, snack in hand, reading like he owns the place. Her maid whispers a warning. What exactly are you planning? You haven't even gotten permission from His Grace yet. He says he has nowhere else to go. Evelyn whispers back, let's secretly take care of him while we look for his parents. Funny thing, the kid can hear every word. And honestly, if Kale finds out and uses it as an excuse to call off their engagement, Evelyn thinks that's even better. Hee hee. Big sis, the boy pipes up, is this really your house? He looks up at her, curious, a little pink in the cheeks. But they called you madam, he points out. Evelyn blinks, huh. You're not just his girlfriend but his fiance, right? Evelyn's caught completely flat-footed by the deduction. She fidgets, genuinely thrown by a 9-year-old's detective work. But you don't look very happy about it, he presses. Why is that? House Harthian has a lot of wealth and power, the boy reasons coolly. It'd be a good family to marry into. Is it because you don't love the Duke at all? Direct hit. Evelyn visibly winces. Because it's nothing more than a loveless arranged marriage. Kalen, you did say you were 9, right? You're pretty sharp for such a young boy, she admits, impressed despite herself. Well, he shoots back, you seem pretty dumb for a grown adult. How could you bring me here without even a little suspicion about who I might be? He scolds her. You seem like the perfect person to get scammed, he adds, unimpressed. She shoots him a look that says, watch it, kid. I happen to be a very cautious person, you know. I just didn't suspect anything because you're a kid. He nearly chokes on his snack at that one, cheeks going red. You're sure to run into trouble if you judge people solely by appearance, he lectures on, disturbingly mature. Or by whether they are young and handsome. That's a surefire way to ruin your life. Go got it, Evelyn mutters. I can't even argue with that, she admits to herself, and not to mention. Are you even listening? She pats his cheek anyway. Yup, he chirps. I'm stepping out for a bit, she tells him. If you need anything, just ask Emily. He scratches his head, oddly flustered by the casual affection. Where are you going? To the master of this house. I mean, my boyfriend, to bring him some macarons. The gift in question, a beautifully packed box of macarons ready to go. I know Kale doesn't like sweets, she thinks, box in hand, but it might make things awkward if he sees even Hugo got macarons and he didn't. In her head, an imagined Kale is already fuming. The fantasy plays out perfectly in her mind. Gratitude sparkles the works. It's not that I like Kale or anything, she insists to no one, I just don't want to see him sad. She finds him at last. Are you busy, Kale? She fidgets under his gaze, suddenly nervous. Box in hand, she works up the nerve. No, but it seems you are my future duchess, he teases. She flinches. Haha, yeah. Ahem, so she starts steeling herself. The macarons make their big reveal. This is for you, Kale, she says, holding the box out. He studies it, unreadable, but you don't like sweets, right? Then just leave them here, she shrugs, sitting beside him. I'll eat them, my. Before she can finish, he pulls her straight onto his lap, box and all. Is all she manages, completely flustered. What are you doing? Not this again, she groans, though she's not exactly fighting it. Feed me, he says simply. Pardon, she squeaks. What did you just say? She stammers, sure she misheard. He just gives her that infuriatingly confident smile. I'll eat it if you feed it to me, he repeats, not backing down an inch. Let's just say the mood in that room warms up considerably from there. We'll leave the rest to your imagination. Back with the kid, Emily finds Kalen buried in a dense book on imperial trade history. You want me to read this to you? She asks, still not convinced this kid is really 9. He tells her flat out he will only eat it if she feeds it to him herself, smooth as ever. Evelyn's whole face goes red just holding the box, completely caught off guard by the request. No, fine, don't eat it then, she stammers, flustered, while he just leans in closer with a come on. So she gives in, leaning in to feed him a bite anyway, heart already racing. He catches her hand and murmurs not to run away from him. One kiss later and the snack tray is officially forgotten. He doesn't stop there either, and Evelyn flinches, caught somewhere between panic and not wanting him to quit. Let's just say things get a little heated for a second there, and we'll leave the rest to your imagination. Kale isn't exactly holding back either, fully leaning into the moment. His hand wanders along her dress, and we're going to politely look away right about now. Then, of course, someone picks the worst possible moment to start knocking on the door. Evelyn practically jumps out of her skin at the sound. A voice calls out that it is Hugo, and he is coming in whether they like it or not. The door bangs open and Kale looks ready to murder someone, box of macarons still in hand, as Hugo sheepishly apologizes. Turns out his excuse is a literal mountain of paperwork. Apparently there was just too much of it to wait. The poor guy is buried up to his eyeballs in documents, just blinking over the top of the pile. Evelyn rushes to check if he is okay, while Kale sulks off to the side, thoroughly abandoned and telling everyone not to ask. Later, Kale is left wondering out loud just where his wife wandered off to. His aide just shrugs, no clue either. My wife must be a busy woman, Kale muses to himself, while somewhere else Evelyn's heart is still pounding. She is mentally kicking herself for almost losing it over his stupidly handsome face. Kale Harthian, you Casanova, she fumes, equal parts annoyed and flustered. Cut to Kale himself, looking way too pleased with how that whole thing went. Evelyn is still a mess, her heart absolutely refusing to calm down. She snaps herself out of it, reminding herself there are more important things to deal with today. Dressed and determined, she heads out by carriage. On the ride, she thinks it over, her allowance is limited, and she is not about to waste it on empty entertainment. The carriage finally rolls to a stop. Turns out she is not here to shop at all, she has arrived at the Ardier Empire's Imperial Homeless Shelter. She heads toward the building with a plan in mind. I had better spend my wealth on something more meaningful, she decides. Something catches her eye and she pauses, caught off guard. A cat, seriously, not exactly what she expected to find here. She can't help herself, scratching behind its ears while it purrs away, totally smitten. She asks the cat its name like it is going to answer, and it just wiggles happily and meows back at her. The cat lets out a loud meow, almost like it already knows its own name is Poppy. Someone comes rushing toward the gate, clearly looking for someone or something. They are calling out for Poppy, over and over, and Evelyn just blinks, cat still curled up in her arms, totally lost. A young shelter worker spots her and is instantly, hopelessly starstruck. The two of them head inside together to sort things out. Turns out everyone there had been panicking over their missing cat, and Evelyn is just glad she could bring her back safe. The cat hops off, business as usual, and the conversation moves on to the real reason Evelyn is here. She has brought an absolutely massive stack of donation boxes, practically a tower of them. The caretaker can't quite believe it, asking if she is really donating all of this. Evelyn explains, snacks stacked on one side, tea on the other. She has even labeled each tea by what it helps with: chamomile for anxious kids, rooibos for skin and immunity, peppermint to settle upset stomachs. She thought of everything. Also, she adds, and hands something extra over to the flustered shelter worker. It is a literal chest of gold coins. It's not much, she says, but I hope it helps. She giggles to herself that it is fine either way. It is technically Kale's money she is giving away. The shelter worker asks for her name. He needs it for the donation ledger. Evelyn hesitates for a second at the question. I'm from House Harthian is all she offers, and he is visibly stunned by the name. Please just write that, she insists, keeping herself out of it. She looks awfully pleased with herself walking away. Nice, I got rid of all the cash, she thinks, mentally celebrating a job well done. Turns out she is getting pretty good at this whole spending a fortune thing. As evening falls, she starts making her way back home. Then it hits her, she got so distracted by the cat that she completely forgot she has dinner with Kale tonight. Well then, I'll be going now, she blurts out and takes off running. The shelter worker calls after her. Oh wait, but she is already gone. He is left standing there alone, watching the space where she used to be. Somewhere else entirely, someone is asking a very interesting question. A young lady found their little poppy. Back home, the cat is curled up getting spoiled, purring away contentedly. I'd like to thank her in person, the cat's owner decides. She strides into the room, already saying there is more to it, hearing how she trails off, clearly intrigued. And here she is, a striking stranger with long silver hair, sharp red eyes, and a hat that means business. Cradling the cat, she admits Evelyn has got her curious, very curious. And that is little Poppy, 5 years old, curled up fast asleep, blissfully unaware she just kicked off something new. She's still catching her breath, but there's no apology coming. I was a bit busy today, sure she was. Look at her huffing and puffing in her fanciest dress like she just sprinted the length of the estate. Busted. Now she flips the script, scolding him for not eating without her. The whole feast's gone stone cold. Instead of an apology, she drops her actual demand, feed me. Bold move for someone supposedly trying to leave this guy. He teases her right back for it and she completely loses it. You're still going on about that. He just strolls up like nothing's wrong, all smug confidence. Come on, don't be like that. She calls him out cold, he's not even hurt, both hands work perfectly fine. Then, contradicting her own outrage completely, she plops herself right down on his lap anyway. Turns out he's not bluffing this time. He really did hurt his hand, and the single word out of her "what" says it all. Suddenly all concern, she wants the full story on how he actually got hurt. Turns out he was sparring with Hugo, his ever-patient right-hand man, and took a hit he's not exactly bragging about. Cue the flustered Chibai meltdown. She's way more rattled by this than she wants to let on. She practically shrieks like sparring is somehow more shocking than the injury itself. Her mind jumps straight to worry, how deep is the wound exactly? And yes, she absolutely notices his hands are annoyingly pretty. No more teasing now, she reaches out and checks the damage herself. He goes completely silent, just staring at her with that unreadable, intense look of his. She catches him staring, and her cheeks go pink in about half a second. He doesn't pull his hand away. If anything, he lets her hold on a little longer than necessary. Are you worried? He asks, testing her. She doesn't hesitate for a second, of course. And then it just slips out, she almost calls him her husband. Her own brain immediately starts screaming at her, you're supposed to be leaving this man, remember? Flustered and covering hard, she pivots straight back to scolding him for not being more careful. He fires right back, needling her about how little she seems to care for her own appearance. Rich, coming from him. He calls her looks a very important asset, and she nearly chokes on the sheer nerve of it. She sputters, caught completely off guard all over again. She circles back, suspicious, is this whole injury thing even real? He doesn't even blink. I told you I am. One more back and forth, really, and she finally caves. Dinner's about to get a lot more hands-on. She actually does it, fork in hand, feeding him bite by bite like the injury negotiator she's apparently become. He leans in way closer than a simple dinner requires, and she goes stiff as a board, flustered all over again. Whatever just passed between them leaves her flushed, eyes shut, completely undone. Then she catches something. His hand has wandered somewhere it was definitely not invited. Under the table and very much not innocent. Smooth, mastermind, real smooth. He keeps right on going, fingers tracing along her, and she's melting despite every protest. She finally snaps out of it and demands to know why he won't stop stroking her back. That's it, she declares. They need actual ground rules for whatever this arrangement is. He just blinks. Rules. Her big idea: whoever touches the other person first has to grant them one wish. Famous last words, honestly. She immediately regrets saying it out loud and flees the scene, blushing the entire way. She warns him she's already got something humiliating planned for whenever she wins this game. He mulls it over for exactly 1 second before agreeing. Calm, calculated, dangerously confident. Turns out he's already got his own list of rules prepared and starts patting himself down looking for it. No luck, he must have left it back in the bedroom. She can't help but laugh. Apparently the terrifying mastermind is a little scatterbrained too. He dashes off to grab it. He's back with an actual, official-looking document. Here's the contract. Read it over and sign it, he says, dead serious. The terms almost sound sweet. Share one meal together daily, equal rights and duties as an engaged couple, him fulfilling husband duties, her wife duties, plus a monthly allowance just for her. He's also on the hook to genuinely learn what she likes. She's free to go out as long as a night or maid tags along for safety, and she can visit her family weekends only. She figures he's just a total planner type and relaxes, thinking at least there's nothing weird hiding in here. Oh, sweet summer child. She goes to sign without a second thought. He very calmly warns her to read it very carefully. That should have been her first clue. She waves him off, insists she read every single word, and signs it anyway. Buried in there is a clause neither of them said out loud. They are contractually required to sleep together once a day. She's stunned. That was definitely not in the version she thought she agreed to. He just smirks and tells her to flip the page over. There's more. She flips it, already dreading whatever's coming next. And there it is, more fine print, and her face runs through about 5 different shades of red reading it. A cold shiver runs through her as it all sinks in. This man planned every single word of this. Clause 2, they share the same bedroom every single night, no exceptions. Whatever happens in there is entirely up to her on paper anyway. He's put himself completely at her mercy. The last clause is the real kicker. He's contractually obligated to master her preferred sleeping positions inside and out. She loses it, you scammer. Caught red-handed, he actually winces. Turns out this smug mastermind has a tell after all. For a second, neither of them says a word. The tension is thick enough to cut. He recovers fast, snatching up a cloth and changing the subject entirely. Suddenly he's all business again, insisting on checking exactly how bad her hand injury really is. He cleans it up himself, careful and precise, like he's done this 100 times. He wraps the bandage slow and deliberate, in absolutely no hurry to let go of her hand. Then it clicks for her. This whole tender nurse act is just a distraction, and she rounds on him furious. You liar. He just smiles and reminds her of the rule she made herself. Whoever touches first has to grant a wish. And technically, by grabbing her hand first, he just won himself a wish. He presses a kiss right to the back of her hand, slow and completely deliberate. Completely pleased with himself, he savors every second of her flustered reaction. Her own rule turned right back around on her, and there is nothing she can say to get out of it. The moment stretches out, quiet and charged, and neither one of them pulls away. For once, the scheming and the bickering fall away completely, and it's just the two of them wrapped up in something that looks a lot less like a business contract and a lot more like the real thing. Pretty as it looks, that ornate cage sitting nearby is a pointed reminder. However golden this arrangement feels, she is still very much caught. Elsewhere, in a much colder household, tea is going cold over an even chillier conversation. A visitor can hardly believe it. Is Evelyn really about to marry Duke Harthian? She snaps her fan shut, sharp and irritated, insisting she has been more than patient keeping the peace between their two families. But she is done being patient. Raise a daughter this way, she warns Countess Florence, and there will be consequences. Her expression makes it painfully clear, this is not a friendly visit anymore. The threat lands blunt and cold. Are you confident you will be fine making an enemy of House Hansworth? Whoever is on the receiving end does not so much as flinch. This fight is clearly just getting started. Back at the estate, word of some big news has the household lit up like it is Christmas morning. Kale does not even blink at the threat. Like I would be scared of that, he says, utterly unbothered. Across the table, Evelyn's mother sits ramrod straight, weighing every word being said. Kale himself looks every inch the untouchable Duke, calm as ever under all that gold trim. Then the real news lands. My future son-in-law is Duke Harthian himself, the mother squeals, practically glowing as the two of them seal it with a handshake. Down the grand staircase they go, arm in arm, the new golden couple of the season. Somewhere in the rumor mill, the gossips have already picked a nickname for her ex. With that scumbag, absolutely, one sniffs while poor Edwin gets reduced to a sulking little doodle in the corner. Evelyn tells herself this beats the alternative easily. Better this than becoming a heartbroken wreck over a cancelled engagement. Across town, Countess Hansworth is fuming behind her fan, replaying the insult over and over in her head. How dare anyone suggest there is something wrong with how she raised her own child, she thinks bitterly. Evelyn's mother meets her stare for stare. Let's be clear about something here, Countess Hansworth. The one who was in the wrong is Edwin. The memory flashes back to Edwin himself, bloodied and collapsed after his own scandal finally caught up with him. I am sure you have heard why the two of them really broke it off, the Countess needles. Men and women are just different, she adds, already making excuses for her son. For a man to be treated this way overtaking another woman, it's absolutely ridiculous, she huffs, apparently the only person alive who finds cheating the real injustice here. Evelyn's mother has heard enough, we should just go our separate ways now. If this is all you came to discuss, please leave, she says, done entertaining the double standard. She watches the Countess go, jaw tight, already bracing for whatever comes next. And here it comes. Someone, the Countess says, saw Evelyn coming out of a hotel on the outskirts of the capital. Evelyn's mother goes rigid, hands twisting tight in her skirt. Her composure cracks for just a second, eyes going wide with alarm. The Countess snaps her fan shut with a sharp tap, clearly enjoying the moment. If you do not cancel this broken engagement, she says sweetly, the scandal that follows Evelyn will be entirely her own doing. Well, I am sure I do not need to explain any further, do I? She adds, smug as ever. Somewhere nearby, a shadow lingers just long enough to catch every word, while the shock plainly registers on the mother's face. The threat lands like a physical blow, the whole room gone heavy with silence. Elsewhere, Evelyn is doing some venting of her own, working through a cup of tea like it personally wronged her. I can't stand it, she slams her cup down, ranting to her maid about the one subject that always gets her going, Kale. I once woke up and I was just back in my own bedroom calling his name like a lunatic, she recounts dramatically. A cute little flashback plays out in her head, the two of them stubbornly turning their backs on each other. He is definitely trying to kill me, Evelyn whispers urgently. He totally knocked me out, I am serious. Her maid is not buying the drama anymore. I think you have told me this story about 20 times now, she deadpans. Still, that is pretty impressive, the maid presses, a knowing glint in her eye. How exactly does he manage to knock you out every single time? Yeah, it is impressive, she repeats, clearly enjoying watching Evelyn squirm. Then comes the real question. What about you, my lady? Do you truly dislike being with his grace? Evelyn fidgets, caught completely off guard. I mean, I do not hate it, she admits quietly. Then, her maid prompts and Evelyn just goes red, no more words coming out. Her mind drifts somewhere else entirely, back to a memory of Kale leaning in far too close for comfort. The moment keeps replaying in her head, the two of them close enough to almost kiss. You are so mean, she had stammered back then, taking advantage of my kindness like this. Kale just smiled and asked if she really hated it. He had looked entirely too pleased with himself about it too. The memory lingers, soft and warm, wrapped up in flowers and candlelight. Then he had pulled her in and kissed her temple, and she had made a very undignified noise about it. One thing led to another, gentle and slow at first. The memory only gets softer from there, a real kiss this time. Things start heating up fast in her memory, and honestly so does the room. Faces inches apart, neither one of them in any hurry to pull back. "It is a bit hot in here," she had murmured back then, which sure blamed the room. "Shall we take this to the bath?" Kale had asked, and that grand chandelier hall is about to see some things. The memory tactfully cuts to a pile of clothes on the floor. Use your imagination. And then, mercifully for everyone involved, the memory fades politely to black. "My lady," her maid's voice yanks her straight back to reality, and Evelyn realizes she has been staring into space this whole time. Snapping out of it, Evelyn steels herself all over again. "But I can't let my guard down," she tells herself. Here is the thing nobody in this house knows. The novel she is living in is an 18-plus, dark and explicit romance. "I can't forget that, Kale," she mutters, clearly still rattled by what that means for her. Because according to the book, he is written as a man with straight-up sadistic tendencies. Her imagination runs wild instantly, picturing the absolute worst version of events. Chibai Evelyn flails around in pure, exaggerated terror at the thought. Then again, she reasons, when he is actually in bed with her, all he ever does is playfully swat her every now and then. But what if he starts hitting me in other places? She wonders, spiraling for entirely her own reasons at this point. A sharp clack at the door snaps her right out of the daydream. Someone is here. A cake arrives that she definitely did not order, leaving her more confused than suspicious. She turns it over, inspecting it like it might be a trap, which honestly fair. One whiff though and her guard drops completely. "What a lovely scent," she sighs. Then a voice cuts in, smooth and unfamiliar. "Evelyn Florence, is that your name, my lady?" Evelyn gasps, caught completely off guard by the stranger now seated right across from her. "Oh yes, how do you know my name?" she asks warily. "So you are the young lady who used the Harthian name," the stranger finishes, smiling like she already knows every secret worth knowing. She is striking, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, dressed like she owns whatever room she walks into, and clearly here for more than cake. Behind that knowing laugh, Evelyn is left staring, very much aware she has no idea what just walked into her life. The girl on the receiving end clutches her chest like she's been mortally wounded. "You're so mean, I can't believe you take advantage of my kindness like this." Behind her, Duke Kale just watches with a slow, knowing grin. He's seen this act before and he is not buying a single tear. Back at his desk, his aide can't help but notice the mood. "You seem to be in a good mood," he says, eyeing the note in Kale's hand. Kale strolls into his office looking entirely too pleased with himself, reports already stacked and waiting. His aide can't resist needling him about the drama queen from earlier. "Doesn't she remind you of a raccoon? I mean, with the way she's always scheming things." And just like that, she's got herself a nickname, the raccoon, forever scheming, forever getting caught. Talk shifts to business. "Have you read the report from the guard you secretly hired?" the aide asks, and the scene cuts to Evelyn out for the day at a cozy dessert cafe. Turns out she was just there buying macarons, and there's more. "Our future Duchess made quite a lot of donations, you see," the aide adds, clearly delighted. "A thank you letter has arrived from the Imperial Homeless Shelter. Donation records enclosed, proof Evelyn's kindness is the real deal." His aide practically lights up reading it, completely charmed by what he's just learned about her. "Lady Evelyn must be an angel sent from the heavens, I'm sure of it," he gushes, while the guard's schedule note lays out her whole day, cafe, macarons, the shelter, all of it. Kale goes quiet, stuck on one detail in particular. "This shelter," he murmurs like it means something more to him than it should. He keeps reading, eyes narrowing, clearly turning something over in that head of his. Alone at his desk now, he pores back over the report, unable to let it go. "This shelter," he repeats to himself, and whatever memory it's stirring up, it's clearly rattled him. Cut to Evelyn in a sunny garden where an elegant, hat-wearing stranger greets her warmly. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Lady Evelyn. I'm Catherine." Evelyn blinks, caught off guard by this total stranger who already seems to know exactly who she is. Is about all she can manage. Oh my, where are my manners? Catherine laughs. Would you recognize me if I told you I'm Poppy's mama? Turns out Poppy is a cat and a very content one at that. Evelyn's whole face lights up. Aha. I had no idea Poppy's mother was such a beautiful young lady. Evelyn gushes. Catherine just blinks. What? Young lady? Catherine repeats, clearly delighted by the compliment. Evelyn, flustered, doubles down. Yes. Evelyn's already guessing an age in her head, surely not a day over 30. Catherine plays it coy. Oh gosh, I'm not that young. Behind her looms an old family portrait and Catherine laughs softly. I have a grown son and another son who's still just a little boy. Evelyn panics, worried she's overstepped. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Offend? No, not at all, please, Catherine says, clearly pleased rather than annoyed. Just address me as madam, she says warmly, then spots Evelyn's maid with a curious tilt of the head. And who is this next to you? I see, thank you, I'll remember that, Catherine says, filing the name away. Then Evelyn, Emily, she says, addressing them both by name like old friends already. Over by a table stacked with pastries, Catherine makes her real move. Could you two spare me some time right now? Evelyn shoots her maid a quick, wary glance, not entirely sure what this charming stranger is really after. Catherine studies her closely, rose petals drifting past, clearly turning something over in her mind. Such striking beauty, she thinks to herself, eyes lingering on Evelyn's face. With looks like that, she's bound to have had a description in the novel, Catherine thinks, but I just cannot place who she is. Wait, the novel? Turns out Evelyn isn't the only one around here who knows more than she's letting on. I really wanted to meet you in person to thank you, Catherine tells the group, all smiles now. Poppy the cat purrs contentedly in her arms. Yes, thanks to you, Catherine coos, and honestly, who's the real star of this scene? The scene shifts to the grand Florence estate, Evelyn's family home, gleaming in the afternoon light. You must be the eldest daughter of House Florence, Catherine says, strolling right up like she owns the place. Your brother Jacqueline just returned from a long trip. Yes, I heard he has quite a few close friends at the academy, she adds, casually dropping details she really shouldn't know. Why yes, haha, Evelyn manages, sweat practically visible at this point. She knows so much, Evelyn thinks, panicking a little. Does she stay up to date with all the latest news? Trying to dodge the real question, Evelyn deflects. No, I'm temporarily staying with an acquaintance at the moment. Catherine's eyes glint under that hat brim. An acquaintance, do you mean, Duke Harthian? Evelyn's hands twist together nervously. There is no smooth way out of this one. Is all that comes out, which is basically a full confession at this point. Catherine smiles, entirely too pleased with herself. Even though this is our first time meeting, it has already been announced in the newspapers, so... She lets the question just hang there, patiently waiting Evelyn out. Evelyn's whole face goes pink, cornered and completely unable to hide it. Yes, Duke Harthian is my lover. For now, Evelyn finally admits, blushing furiously. Catherine claps her hands. Oh my goodness, how did you two meet? By chance? Evelyn starts, and before she can finish, Catherine's already hooked an arm through hers, practically dragging her along for the full story. Catherine's positively glowing, hanging on every word like this is the best gossip she's heard in years. Oh, how lovely, that's how fate works. I met my husband the same way, she says warmly. Evelyn just blinks, caught completely off guard by how invested this stranger is. He's not my husband. Yet, Evelyn corrects, leaning in as they keep walking together under the trees. We're still getting to know each other, she adds. Aha, yes I see, Catherine says, practically giddy. Either way, that's wonderful, Catherine beams, thoroughly charmed. Evelyn can't help but notice how much this woman loves hearing about love lives. This must be what it's like to have a daughter, she thinks. Their moment gets interrupted, a dark-haired attendant stepping up quietly. Excuse me, madam. He leans in and whispers something in her ear, and whatever it is, it's clearly meant for her alone. Oh dear, it seems I need to head back now, Catherine says. Oh, that's okay, Evelyn replies, a little sad to see her go. The group parts ways, Evelyn watching this odd, warm stranger disappear down the path. As she goes, Catherine can't help but smile to herself. What a nice lady. Evelyn, meanwhile, can't shake a nagging feeling. I feel like I've seen her somewhere. It hits her a beat too late. She never even got the woman's real name, just Madam. Later, back at the peaceful Harthian estate garden, word arrives. A letter came from House Florence. Yes, my lady, comes the reply, and just like that, Evelyn's past comes knocking. She turns the envelope over in her hands, uneasy. What's this about? Her fingers freeze on the wax seal. Wait, could it be? Inside, her parents are practically begging. Please come back home, they write, and Evelyn can only wonder, do they really want her back that badly? She just stares at the page for a second, stunned it's actually come to this. Then it hits her and she scrambles for her things. I can finally go home. But she keeps reading and her excitement stalls out fast. Her eyes go wide. Whatever's further down that letter, it is not what she expected. And there it is in black and white. Kate says she won't let Duke Harthian get away with this. Looks like the raccoon isn't done scheming after all. Word travels fast. Evelyn's two best friends come sprinting through the garden, practically wheezing, waving that same paper like it is on fire. And there is Evelyn, sweating bullets the second she spots them coming. Yeah, she knows exactly why they are here. She tries to play it cool over afternoon tea, like she has not been dodging this exact conversation for weeks. Well, she starts and immediately regrets opening her mouth. How could you not tell us first? One of them snaps. We had to find out our own friend is getting married from the front page of a newspaper. And we sent you a letter 2 weeks ago. Took you long enough to even answer that one. Evelyn just turns beet red. She mumbles, stalling for time. Things happened, okay? Sure, let us just say it is a long story and it is about to get told whether she likes it or not. Evelyn, the black-haired one, says flatly, arms crossed, I did not think you had it in you. Gotta give you credit for the guts, her red-haired friend adds. I cannot believe you actually spent the night with the infamous Duke Harthian. In her head, Evelyn's only defense is, blame the alcohol, not exactly a great look. Quick pause for the audience. What exactly makes this Duke so infamous, you ask? Rumor has it he is a bloodthirsty tyrant who likes murdering people to classical music, and his germophobia is so bad he chops off the hand of anyone who dares touch him, then keeps them as trophies. Some even swear there is a pile of corpses stacked up in the Harthian estate basement. Charming guy, right? Anyway, Evelyn, her friend says, grabbing her hand across the table. You do not actually want this marriage, do you? Yeah, Evelyn stammers, not convincing anybody. Do not worry, Dorothy says, adjusting her shades with a smug little flourish. We have our ways. Kate fixes her own outfit too, and honestly, these two look like they are gearing up for battle, not brunch. Sunglasses on, attitude maxed out, the girls strike their most dramatic pose. Somebody calls security, the confidence levels are illegal. Evelyn just stares at them, half amazed and half terrified of whatever they are about to pull. Let us commence, Dorothy announces grandly, operation, channeling inner evil mother-in-law. Cut to some fancy corner of the city, sun shining, birds singing, absolutely no idea what is about to hit it. The girls roll up to a restaurant dripping in chandeliers, the kind of place where the menu does not even bother listing prices. So this is the place, one of them mutters, straightening up, where we finally meet this thieving little cat who stole our girl. Kate makes an entrance like she is walking a runway, hair flick and all, while poor Evelyn just tries not to die of second-hand embarrassment. I heard this place is incredibly popular, Evelyn offers, trying to keep the small talk alive. So why is it completely dead in here today? Not a single other customer in sight. A staff member finally walks over to clear up the mystery. You are open today, right? Evelyn asks, hoping the answer is yes. Yes, he says carefully. However, Duke Harthian has reserved the entire restaurant, which means you three are our only guests today. All three of them freeze. Of course he did. The man cannot resist a grand gesture, even one nobody asked for. You know, Dorothy admits, weirdly touched, he might actually be a keeper. Do not you dare get fooled, Dorothy, Kate yelps, yanking her cheek. Considering House Harthian's money, this is basically pocket change to him. Oh right, Dorothy says, snapping back into skeptic mode. Evelyn admits to herself she was a little nervous about today, but having Kate in her corner does help. The whole place practically glitters, which really is not helping anyone stay unimpressed. Maybe, just maybe, this whole operation is actually going to work out. 10 minutes later, though, the silence is starting to feel a lot less impressive and a lot more awkward. Why is Kale taking so long? Evelyn wonders, glancing at the door. Wow, he is late to meet my friends for the first time, she thinks, sweating buckets and strangely more anxious than she would like to admit. I already hate him, one friend mutters. We ought to teach this man a lesson. Right on cue, and he walks. I am sorry I am late, Kale says smoothly, not looking sorry at all. For one flash of a second, both girls throw him a look sharp enough to cut glass. Then they both do a double take because in person, this man is annoyingly good-looking. The table gets set with the kind of over-the-top spread that screams, I am trying way too hard to impress you. Even his reflection in the window looks like it is posing for a portrait. Full dress uniform, easy confidence, the works. He clearly knew exactly what kind of audience he was walking into. Even the flowers on the table cannot really compete with him, and honestly, that might be the whole point. He leans in close for just a second, and Evelyn's brain short-circuits into one very eloquent "Oh. I see you put extra effort into your appearance today," he murmurs, clearly enjoying himself. Of course, he says simply, and steals a quick kiss before she can even respond. He wraps an arm around her right there at the table, cool as anything, like meeting her overprotective best friends is no big deal at all. I am meeting your closest friends today, he adds. Of course I made an effort. Evelyn's heart does a very loud, very traitorous badum, and she is not thrilled about it. I'm Kate Purell, the redhead says, all business now, Evelyn's friend. Dorothy Malen, the other adds just as clipped. We'll get straight to the point, Your Grace, Kate continues, while a table's worth of extravagant food sits between them. Evelyn is a very precious friend to us, she says, and Kale actually listens, dead serious. To be honest, it's only natural that we'd think no man is good enough for her. The reason we wanted to meet you today, Dorothy cuts in, was to see for ourselves whether you actually deserve her. Evelyn gets all misty. Oh, you guys. Meanwhile, Dorothy just barrels on, that's right. Evelyn has zero dating experience, she has no eye for men at all. Of course, when it comes to her marriage, she gets the final say, Kate adds sweetly. But it will get very difficult for you if you land on our bad side. Kale just smiles, excuses himself for a moment, and comes back holding an enormous bouquet. Kate's eyes go instantly starry. Oh my goodness, she breathes. How lovely, she manages, staring at the jewelry boxes that just appeared out of nowhere too. His Grace personally prepared these gifts just for you both, the aide explains. Look at these flowers, they're gorgeous, Dorothy squeals, and these gifts, Kate adds, already a lost cause. I have never seen jewels this brilliant, Dorothy gasps. Custom-made, birthstones and all, he really did his homework. I have never got a gift like this, not even from my own boyfriend, one of them wails, completely melting. I think we seriously misjudged you, Your Grace, Kate declares. You're perfect husband material, please make Evelyn happy. Goo guys, Evelyn tries, waving a hand in front of them. Hello, do you two even hear me right now? Bought out for the price of a bouquet. Rookie numbers, honestly. Kale just sips his coffee behind a grin that says exactly what you think it says. Mission accomplished. Dorothy, Kate, Evelyn finally explodes. You two literally promised you would break off my engagement. Meanwhile, completely ignoring the chaos he just caused, Kale is already plotting his next move behind that grin. Prepare the paperwork, he tells his aide under his breath. Get this marriage approved. Immediately, smooth villain, zero shame, 10 out of 10 execution. At some fancy party, one of the guests finally gets bold enough to ask Duke Kill the question everyone is dying to know. What does he even see in Evelyn? He just smiles, slow and satisfied, like he has been waiting all night for someone to ask. I cannot pick just one thing, he says. She is adorable from head to toe. The room basically short-circuits. Somewhere behind him, a chorus of oh my gosh breaks out. Someone points out he is basically saying her very existence is adorable. Bold move from a guy half the empire calls a monster. Across the room, Evelyn turns the color of a ripe tomato, catching every word. Kale, she murmurs, half stunned, this is the same man everyone whispers about in fear. I did not know he could smile like that, she thinks, laughing it off. I do not think I will ever get used to this. Later, Evelyn tugs him along by the arm. Kale, I want you to meet my friends. He gives her the flattest HM imaginable, not exactly bursting with enthusiasm. The second nobody important is watching, that charming smile is gone. To Evelyn, he just looks completely, utterly uninterested. But the moment her friends Kate and Dorothy actually meet him, they are howling with laughter and hanging off him like old pals. He has totally charmed both of them. Evelyn thinks, watching in disbelief, while Kale's actual expression stays as unreadable as ever. He just grins, pleased with himself. The man clearly knows exactly how good he is at this. He straightens his collar, every inch the perfect gentleman. At least, that is the version everyone else gets to see. Evelyn watches it all with a drink in hand, wondering exactly which version of this man she actually married. Somewhere in her memory, a wedding feast goes up in literal flames while somebody yelps ouch hot, and she is left screaming his full name in exasperation. Another memory, their over-the-top public wedding, confetti flying, the whole crowd cheering happy marriage like it is the event of the century. Back in the present, Evelyn glares up at the estate and swears it to herself again. She is escaping this psychopathic villain no matter what it takes. Her maid Emily eyes her sideways. Are you really going to use this method? Of course, Evelyn insists, the two of them slipping through the streets in hooded cloaks. You should have seen it too, Emily. Whatever Kale has already figured out by now, honestly, she really does not want to know. Somewhere close by, someone is smirking, and that is never a good sign. Arg, this is so infuriating, Evelyn grumbles under her hood. I am sure we will find something we have not tried yet here. She marches on toward whatever this place actually is. Enter the Shadow Intelligence Guild, the place every scrap of information in the Empire supposedly passes through. From the outside, it just looks like a pretty little flower shop. Shoppers wander past the storefront without a clue what is really going on inside. In reality, it is a notorious guild known for getting the job done, no matter what that job actually is. At the desk sits its mysterious white-haired master, quill in hand, and a reputation to match. Here is the kicker, Kale himself hired this exact guild to hunt down the runaway heroine of the story. Evelyn is banking on the same people to help her disappear from him. His answer comes fast and flat, rejected. All I want to know, she presses, is how to safely break up with a lover. What is the problem with that? Well, he shrugs, I simply do not have that information. I have never actually been broken up with, you see. Evelyn's hand clenches into a fist on the table. Let go of me, Emily, she snaps, lunging while Emily physically holds her back. Please, my lady, calm down. Haha, the guildmaster laughs, clearly enjoying himself. I am quite popular, you know. Owa, of all the things you could have asked me, he sighs theatrically. Sorry, cannot help you there. He fusses with his necklace, thoroughly pleased with the chaos he just caused. Wait, he adds quickly, holding up his hands, I am joking. He clears his throat and gets serious for once. Start a new life, he tells her. You immediately, he continues, laying out the first steps of his plan. Step 1, ignore Kale entirely and disappear. Then you live under a completely new identity, he says. Evelyn blinks, actually considering it. Wait, is not that illegal? She blurts, sitting right back down. Of course it is illegal, he says, unbothered. How exactly did you think you would run away without breaking a few laws? Listen carefully, he tells her, leaning in. Breaking the law, he says, is the foundation of any good escape plan. Evelyn gulps. Unless you actually want to avoid a clean break, he adds, letting that sink in. Later, wandering the streets alone, Evelyn cannot stop turning his words over in her head. He wants me to, she mutters to herself, still stuck on the plan. Illegally assume a new identity. Sitting on a park bench with an ice cream, she is not exactly sold on the idea. Apparently, there is nowhere in the entire empire that is actually beyond Kale's reach. Even with a new identity, she thinks, he would hunt me to the ends of the earth. For a second she pictures herself hiding out in some tiny cottage somewhere, just her and a stray cat. Cute, unrealistic cute. Plus, every coin I have on me right now technically belongs to Kale. In that case, her mind starts spinning towards something far riskier. If I am unlucky, she imagines, I could end up straight in prison, or worse. In her head, Kale materializes out of the dark, looming and silent. "Drink it yourself, Evelyn," imaginary Kale says, rattling a poison bottle at her. "This is the last bit of mercy I will grant you." Her imagination really is not holding back on this guy. "He might kill me before I even get a trial," she wails, completely spiraling. Evelyn blinks, snapping back to reality. Something across the park catches her eye. Who is that? She squints toward a bench, curiosity getting the better of her. That looks like a homeless person, she thinks, and drifts right over to check on him. The man on the bench startles awake, tipping his hat back in surprise. "Excuse me, old sir," Evelyn says politely, not doubting her read on the situation for a second. He says, peering up at her with quiet amusement. "Would you like to have this?" she offers, holding out her half-eaten strawberry crepe. "I have not taken a bite out of it yet." He reaches for it without much hesitation. For a moment he studies her, something a little too sharp behind that tired look. Evelyn just smiles, completely oblivious to whatever is going on behind those eyes. A small, harmless act of kindness, or so she thinks. He suddenly grabs her hand. "Young lady," he says, and it is not the voice of any old man. He holds on a beat too long, and something about this whole encounter suddenly feels a lot less random. Turns out homeless old man was neither homeless nor old. He flashes her a sharp, knowing grin, glasses and all. Definitely not the guy she thought she was talking to. "Do you happen to have a husband?" he asks, bold as anything. Somewhere off to the side, Emily and the guildmaster watch this whole thing unfold, thoroughly unconvinced. And honestly, same. Evelyn blinks. "A husband? Where's that coming from?" "Nope," she says, still very much unmarried. Kale's smirk immediately says he can see exactly where this is going. "Sure enough, would you like to meet my son?" the old woman asks, already scheming. Before Evelyn can even answer, Kale swoops in, all charm, planting a kiss right on her hand like he owns the moment. Evelyn's jaw drops. "What?" The old woman barely notices, too busy gushing. "My eldest son is around your age, And in Evelyn's head he's already some dashing silhouette straight out of a romance novel. "I just think you two would be perfect for each other," the old woman presses. Evelyn scrambles to explain, "I'm so sorry, but I already have a fiance." The old woman just cackles it off. "But nothing's certain until you actually walk down the aisle," she says with a wink, and Evelyn's left there like, "Excuse me." Rewind a bit. Evelyn studies the man sitting beside them a little closer and has a thought. This guy actually looks more middle-aged than elderly. He's dressed down in a flat cap and worn traveling clothes, quietly minding his own business on the bench. He's got a sturdy build too, she notes to herself, sizing him up like she's window shopping. And those deep ocean blue eyes. Yeah, she's really committing to this little inspection. "How beautiful," Evelyn gushes over something he says, and the two of them get surprisingly chatty. Turns out the old traveler's real pitch is about his son. Rich, and not just rich, allegedly one of the wealthiest men in the whole empire. "But that boy's personality is a bit of an issue," he admits, trailing off ominously. Evelyn just shrugs. "Isn't personality the most important thing?" Bold take, coming from the woman engaged to the empire's scariest duke. Off to the side, Kale just mutters to himself, weirdly amused. Well, at least he doesn't do it without reason. Evelyn laughs it off, waving away the fuss. "I'm really all right, thank you," she insists. Honestly, between the matchmaking and Kale, her hands are already full. So how did this whole thing start? Evelyn had found the old man sprawled out on a park bench. "Sir, why are you lying here?" she asks. "You're even using a newspaper as a blanket." "I ran out of money," he sighs. "Traveling's my hobby, spent the whole year touring the empire and just got back to the capital." He pulls out a battered, completely empty old wallet as proof. "And wouldn't you know it, my son's birthday is coming right up," he adds, laying it on thick. Evelyn and her maid share a look. "You mean she starts to ask. "The one with the scary personality?" "That's right," he nods. "I really did want to set you up with him. There just aren't many kind young people like you left these days." "You're the only one who's shown me any kindness," he tells her. "What a shame." Evelyn just laughs, a little flattered. "Whoever marries your son sure is lucky," Evelyn says sweetly. "She'll have such a caring father-in-law." "Haha, you can say that again," he chuckles, a little too pleased with himself. Her maid checks the clock tower and taps her shoulder. My lady, we should get going, we'll be late for dinner again. Oh right, Evelyn snaps back to reality. We'll be going now, sir, she says with a polite bow. All right, goodbye, he calls back, all smiles. Evelyn and her maid head off, waving goodbye one last time. The second they're out of sight, though, his whole demeanor changes. Phew, what a darn shame indeed, he mutters, and his hand starts peeling something off. And there it is, the poor old traveler was never old at all. Underneath the getup is a sharp-eyed young guy with glasses, grinning like he just pulled off the con of the century. He settles back on the bench, pretty pleased with his own little performance. Maybe I should have at least gotten her name, he muses, already thinking about round 2. Back in the present, Evelyn's mid-bite on a melting ice cream cone. Og, it's all spilling out, she yelps, and Kale's right there to help clean up the mess. By the time evening rolls around, Evelyn's finally back home, ready to collapse. Man, I'm beat, she groans, face planting straight onto her bed. And just like that, she's out cold, drifting into a dream that starts, oddly enough, with a young Kale being raised and groomed under a watchful maid's eye. Fast forward, grown-up Kale, buried in books, cramming for his groom lessons, memorizing every flower Evelyn likes and every bean she can't stand. He's even digging up her childhood favorite song. Sweet, sure, but somewhere in the back of Dream Evelyn's mind, a small voice asks, is it actually okay to marry Kale like this? Cut to the big day itself, wedding bells, doves, the works. There they are at the altar, Kale in white, Evelyn glowing in her gown, the whole crowd cheering them on. Everyone's laughing and celebrating, picture-perfect happily ever after energy. Then just like that, the dream flips. Kale's smile is gone, his voice ice cold, you've outlived your use now, time to die. A blade flashes out of nowhere. No, Evelyn tries to scream. And that's when real Evelyn jolts awake, flailing so dramatically she faceplants right off the bed, while a couple of very unimpressed bystanders nearby mutter, is she practicing her acting? Just ignore her. She staggers around the room like she just crawled back from the dead. And drops with a thud, completely wiped out. But mid-collapse, her eyes snap open with a very specific, very scheming glint. This won't do, she decides, marching straight for her wardrobe. Time to break out the secret weapon, she declares, stripping down to something a lot less proper than her usual gowns. One dramatically lit dress shirt, Kale's specifically, waits on the hanger like a prop in a heist movie. See, ever since she was a baby, Evelyn's had the same line drilled into her over and over: be a virtuous woman. The picture of a proper wife, always deferring, always waiting on her husband to call the shots. She heard it constantly inside the Florence estate and out, drilled in since day one. So here's her logic: wouldn't Kale want the exact same thing in a wife? Which means if he catches his proper, well-mannered fiancé acting improper and indecent instead, he'll surely lose interest fast. Curtains billow as she throws the window open, fully committing to the plan now. She unfolds her notes with a determined flick. Buttoned into Kale's oversized shirt and barely anything else, she admits, I feel a bit awkward dressed like this, but it's all for the act. And with that, she steps out to go put on the performance of a lifetime. Right on cue, Kale bursts into the room. The room goes dead quiet as he scans it, clearly sensing something's off. Evelyn peeks out, already blushing furiously at her own plan. His footsteps get closer, thumpy step. And Evelyn, brilliant schemer that she is, panics completely and dives under the bed instead. This wasn't what I meant to do, she thinks, heart pounding. I need to go to Kale. Thunder cracks outside and she freezes even harder under there. Peeking out from her hiding spot, shirt slipping off one shoulder, she looks anything but composed. Then the room goes dark and for one gut punch second it's her nightmare all over again. Kale standing over her, blade in hand. Something drips onto the floor. His eyes glint red in the dark, watching her. Evelyn's whole body goes rigid with fear. A scream rips through the storm-lashed mansion. Whatever happens next, we're going to have to wait for it. In the dead of night, a nightmare creeps in. Kale stalking toward her down a pitch-black hallway, blade in hand, eyes cold as ice. She reaches out for him, but the vision blurs into white noise and something that looks a lot like blood. Not exactly a sweet dream. Thunder cracks outside and Evelyn's eyes snap open, heart hammering. That nightmare felt way too real. She claps a hand over her mouth to muffle the scream, drenched in cold sweat. Storm is raging and so is her pulse. Footsteps thunder down the hall. Evelyn, it's me, comes Kale's voice through the dark. The door bursts open and there he is, sword drawn and looking like death itself. Why do you look so scary? She yelps. He drops down beside her, sheepish. I thought you were an intruder, he admits, sword first parenting this one. Cut to Kale, caught off guard by his surprise night guest. Anyway, he asks, what exactly is she doing here? Right, the plan. Evelyn's brain finally catches up to why she barged into his room in the first place. Well, you see, she starts and immediately loses her nerve. She keeps restarting the sentence like a broken record, going nowhere fast. Kale prompts, not helping her nerves one bit. Evelyn just short circuits, face burning. We should, check out how hard it's thundering. Wow, smooth save, Evelyn, very smooth. Internally, she is screaming. This is a disaster, she thinks, mission completely blown. She just cannot spit the words out, and yet if she is really going to pull off looking bold and shameless tonight, she has to. At least manage this much, she coaches herself, stealing her nerve. Then it just comes tumbling out, we should make love. There it is, no taking it back now. That's why I came to your room, Kale, she says, wrapping her arms around him like she means business. Kale just stares down at her, unreadable, the picture of a man recalculating his entire evening. Her face is on fire, but she holds his gaze, refusing to chicken out now. I want to spend the night here, she manages, voice barely above a whisper. Kale tilts her chin up, amused. What exactly are you doing right now? He asks, playing along. Don't be nervous, she coaches herself one more time, you got this. Out loud it comes out as a stammered I want to sleep together. Her fingers fidget uselessly at his collar. So far, seductive is not quite the word for this. Wait, why won't this undo? Turns out she has never actually unbuttoned anyone else's shirt before. Rookie mistake. Before she can fumble any further, he grabs her wrist and she jumps like she's just been caught red-handed. Whoa, in one smooth motion he turns the tables, and suddenly she's the one out of her depth. Rain hammers the windows as he pulls her in close, taking over the plan she clearly could not finish herself. Afterward, disheveled and wide-eyed, Evelyn panics. He looks furious. What is she supposed to do now? Kale's expression has gone dead serious, and not in the fun way. I am sorry if I made you uncomfortable, she blurts before he cuts in with an oddly specific question. What exactly are you wearing right now? What? He is not letting it go. The size, the color, the cut, even the scent, none of it is anything she would normally wear. His grip tightens around her wrist, a low, ominous energy radiating off him. Whose shirt is this? Kale asks, voice dropping into full interrogation mode. Jealousy looks surprisingly good on the psychopathic villain. Evelyn freezes, sweat beading, brain scrambling for literally any excuse. My dad's, she offers weakly. Kale is not buying a single word of it. It's true, I swear, it's Count Florence's shirt, bold strategy throwing her own father under the bus. Why on earth would you do such a thing? He asks, utterly baffled by the lie she just told. Because, she backpedals hard, I already told you I came here to get you into bed with me. She perches there in his oversized shirt, sparkling and mortified in equal measure. He must be so turned off right now, she thinks, laughing a little manically to cover the panic. Barely dressed, and she tried to strip him down too. He probably thinks she is a total menace by now. Instead, Kale just smirks. That is not the reaction she was bracing for. Relief hits so hard she starts laughing, throwing her arms around him. Why are you laughing? He asks. I am just showing you what a reckless, debauched person I really am, she fires back. What? Evelyn's jaw drops at whatever he says next. You are reckless and debauched too, apparently, Kale teases. Do not tell me you forgot our first night together. I was drunk, she protests, internally screaming that this seduction plan has officially failed again. Time to flee, she decides, but he is already one step ahead of her. He reels her back in with an arm around her waist. And where do you think you're going, Evelyn? Weren't you the one trying to get me into bed? He murmurs, and just like that her own plan catches up with her. Let's just say the rest of the night gets a little too spicy for this recap, so we will leave it right there, wink and all. The next evening rolls around, the estate glowing quietly under the stars. Evelyn looks positively wrecked, shoveling food into her mouth like she has not eaten in a week. He really went at it all day, she mutters, still recovering from whatever last night turned into. Kale, looking far too pleased with himself, tells her he quite enjoyed the little scenario she cooked up this time. Wait, he knew she was acting the whole time? Evelyn realizes with dawning horror that she has been dancing in the palm of his hand this entire time. Evelyn, I have something for you, Kale says, and she blinks, caught off guard. He slides something across the breakfast table with a flourish. A sealed envelope dressed up with flowers and ribbon waits for her to open it. Inside, an invitation to the Crown Prince's birthday party. Evelyn freezes mid-bite. The Crown Prince's birthday party, of all the events to get roped into. If it's a party at the palace, happening at exactly this point in time, her stomach drops. Because she suddenly remembers a very specific scene from the novel. Kale, dressed to the nines, wrapped around a pink-haired stranger. Evelyn's smile freezes in place, dread creeping in fast. That's right, this is the exact party where, in the original story, Kale meets the novel's real female lead, and Evelyn just got invited to watch it happen. Rewind for a second. This is a flashback straight out of the original novel, The Crown Prince's Birthday Party, where he starts falling for the story's real leading lady. Meet her, pink hair, golden eyes, and main character energy radiating off of her. Here's the kicker though, in the novel, this same night is also when Kale falls for her too. He can't take his eyes off her. In the book, this is the moment that seals his fate. Present-day Kale wears a very different expression thinking about it though. Cold, calculating, nothing like that smitten boy from the story. Because soon, in real life, Kale is finally going to meet this so-called real female lead in person, and Evelyn is dreading every second of it. Back in the present, over dinner, Kale surprises Evelyn. From now on, they're attending every high society event together and he's already feeding her the first bite. Evelyn just nods along and keeps eating. Priorities. Of course we should go together, he says. We've already announced our engagement to the whole empire. She just munches on, half listening. She's clearly rattled underneath all that calm chewing, and then it hits her, wait a second. Because the party he's talking about is the Crown Prince's birthday bash, the exact one where the novel has Kale meeting the real female lead for the first time. Evelyn wants zero part of watching that happen. She pictures herself hiding behind his cloak, spying on the two of them getting cozy in a field of daisies. Just imagining it is unbearably awkward. Because let's be honest, there are only two outcomes here. Good ending, he lets her go quietly. Bad ending, well, he is still technically a psychopath. Alone with her thoughts, she wonders something darker. Once he meets the real female lead, will he start treating her like she doesn't even exist? If the novel's original love story kicks off right on schedule, is that actually good news for her, or very, very bad news? Then, out of nowhere, Kale tells her, you don't have to go. Evelyn's jaw practically hits the floor. She stares at him, stunned, while he just looks away, unreadable as ever. I mean, I can't stand noisy places either, he adds, casual as can be. Really? She asks, not buying it for a second. Wait a minute, she blurts, are you saying you won't go either? But you of all people are supposed to be there, she protests, practically leaping out of her chair. Why would I go without you? Kale answers simply. Evelyn flusters, stammering that it's just how these things are supposed to go. Kale narrows in with a suspicious little Evelyn, are you hiding something from me? And she practically yelps. You know what, screw it, she blurts, red-faced. Now that I think about it, I really do want to go to that party. She backpedals fast, insisting she just got carried away rambling. Kale gives a slow, very unconvinced hum. Let's definitely go to the birthday party together, Kale, she declares, doubling down like her life depends on it. Night falls over the ducal estate. Everything outside is quiet, except for the storm brewing inside Evelyn's head. Alone in her room, she paces the floor. Should she call in a favor with the guild and just run away after all? But then what happens to Emily and to Kaylin? She can't just abandon the people she's come to care about here, not yet anyway. A knock at a bedroom door. Little Kaylin is still wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Kaylin, you're still awake? Evelyn asks. I have insomnia, he admits. I'm a bit sensitive, I guess. She sits beside him, gentle concern on her face. Insomnia. I can't sleep well when my surroundings change, he explains. Right, it must be hard adjusting to somewhere new, she says softly, thinking it over. Oh, I know, Kaylin, I'll read you a fairy tale, she offers with a smile. She wades through the estate's absolutely chaotic library hunting for something suitable. Let's see. First find, a lovely little collection titled The Most Brutal Murder Cases in Imperial History, followed by a guide to poison development and a rundown of the Empire's worst rebel groups. These are not bedtime books for a 9-year-old, Evelyn mutters, quietly horrified. This is the home library here. When she finally reads Kaylin an actual fairy tale, he shuts it down instantly. Happy endings, apparently, are boring. There are plenty of other good stories, she offers. He just grabs a random book off the shelf and demands she read that one instead. She flips it open, no idea what she's about to unleash. Let's see now. She settles in and starts reading aloud, Kaylin listening intently from his pillow. The book's title alone should have been a warning sign. The Duke's aide wants to resign. By now, Kale's taken over reading duty, and his eyebrows are already climbing off his face. Turns out the female lead is named Lena and the male lead is her boss, a duke named Theo. Sound a little familiar? Where am I? Lena wonders, confused, waking up right next to her own boss. Evelyn's face says it all. This book took a turn nobody asked for. This is kind of weird, Kale mutters. Kaylin, completely unbothered, just wants him to keep going. In the story, 2 months later, Lena's been hiding out and finally hands in her resignation letter. Theo reads it with an expression that says this conversation is far from over. He turns the letter over in his hand, weighing his next move. Then just scoffs, as if he'd actually let her walk away that easily. This isn't right, Lena, he tells her flatly, catching her mid-packing. You slept with me and now you're just going to run off like nothing happened, he presses. My mind is made up, she answers, refusing to budge. Please just process my resignation, she says, standing her ground even as he steps closer. How dare you, Theo growls, and the mood in the room drops several degrees. He grabs her wrist before she can get another word out. Okay, this book is definitely not a fairy tale. Try to run away while carrying my child, he says, and the whole room goes cold with that reveal. Remember this, he warns her, your body is now completely mine. Yeah, this escalated fast. Back in reality, Evelyn slams the book shut with a nervous laugh. Okay, this really doesn't seem like an appropriate book. Should we try a different one? Why, it's interesting though, Kaylin whines, already tossing it aside for an even sketchier looking book. No, this one looks way more interesting. Somehow this household's taste in bedtime reading just keeps getting worse. Eventually the excitement wears him out and Kaylin drifts off mid-story, blissfully unaware how questionable that book really was. Evelyn quietly tucks the blanket around him and smooths his collar before slipping out. Except he's not quite asleep yet. Big sis, he mumbles. She answers, pausing at the door. Why do protagonists in novels always run away? He asks, half-lidded and drowsy. Then, out of nowhere, the kid lands a gut punch. Do you want to run away from your fiancé too? Evelyn freezes, caught completely off guard by a 9-year-old asking the one question she's been avoiding. I don't really know either, she admits with a quiet sigh, more honest than she meant to be. Morning comes, birds chirping like nothing heavy happened the night before. And just like that, it's back to business, dress shopping for the big party. You're not just picking randomly, are you? The seamstress asks, side-eyeing her. Evelyn sweats it out, thinking dresses are honestly the last thing on her mind right now. A sudden knock sends Evelyn jumping mid-fitting. Come in, she calls. Pardon me, Lady Evelyn, Kale's aide says, poking his head through the door. He peeks in, a little sheepish about the interruption. This is rather sudden, he tells her, but guests have arrived at the estate. Evelyn's mind races. Are they here for her, and who on earth could they be? Footsteps echo down toward the entrance hall as the mystery guests make their way in. And there they are, 2 faces Evelyn's never seen before, standing right at the estate's door. Whoever they are, this visit is about to change everything. Evelyn wanders through in her pale blue gown, still not quite used to calling this ridiculous palace home. She catches herself wondering out loud, who on earth would travel all the way out here just to see her? Before she can guess, something stops her dead in her tracks. A stranger with long silver hair and an unmistakable air of elegance is standing just ahead of her. The dark-haired man beside her, sharp-eyed behind a pair of glasses, blurts out in total shock the moment he spots Evelyn. The silver-haired woman on his arm just looks amused, clearly enjoying whatever has him so rattled. "Oh my gosh, what are you doing here?" Evelyn gushes, throwing her arms around the woman and cheerfully announcing she happens to be very close with Duke Harthian. "Really?" The woman laughs. "With my Duke Harthian, that little brag is about to backfire spectacularly." The two women stay locked in that awkward standoff a beat longer, neither one explaining a thing. "Kale," someone calls out, and the man himself strides into the hall with a companion right behind him. He gestures toward Evelyn and reminds his father, "These are my guests. Remember the madam I mentioned meeting at that cafe?" Still flustered, Evelyn blurts out that he arrived earlier than she expected. "Mother, father," Kale says simply, turning to the pair, and just like that, Evelyn's worst suspicion is confirmed. The whole group crosses the hall together, Kale and his aide flanking Evelyn as she is marched toward his parents properly this time. "It's been a while, Kale, how have you been?" his mother asks warmly. "Good," he answers simply, then immediately asks after someone else entirely, "Where's Kalen?" Right here a voice pipes up, footsteps announcing a new arrival. Small footsteps approach, someone making their entrance felt before anyone even sees them. A boy steps into view and his parents gush that their son has grown so much, while Kale can only mutter the name under his breath like he is already exhausted by it. "Son," Evelyn repeats, completely lost, while his mother tugs at her husband's sleeve. "Honey, honey, listen to me." His father leans in to explain, "She's the young lady I told you about," prompting his wife to light up. "Oh my, you mean the one you met looking like a beggar at the town square?" A flashback flickers by, a hooded figure kneeling in front of a man in a wide-brimmed hat, somewhere in a busy town square. Evelyn's jaw drops. What? She had been in disguise that day and had absolutely no idea who she was really talking to. Her mind is spinning in circles. "Wait, what on earth is going on here? It must be fate for us to meet again like this," his mother declares, squeezing Evelyn's hands while all Evelyn can manage is a panicked wait a minute. Kale's aide leans in to fill her in at last, "The former Duke and Duchess Harthian, my lady." The news lands like a crack straight through Evelyn's composure, and somewhere her dignity quietly clocks out for the day. The whole family, parents, Kale, his little brother and Evelyn fall into step together, heading deeper into the estate. Evelyn wobbles on her feet, the shock of it all finally catching up with her mid-walk. And then she goes down completely, collapsing right there on the spot. Gasps ring out around her, "My lady, goodness." Kale snaps into action, barking orders, "Call the physician at once, Hugo, and bring water." He catches her before she hits the floor, staring down at her like he cannot believe this is happening. "No way," he mutters. Cradled against him, Evelyn's face burns bright red, completely overwhelmed by everything that just happened. She comes to feeling absolutely dead inside, while someone gently asks if she's sure she doesn't need to rest. "Yes, I'm perfectly fine," she insists, wobbling so hard she can barely stand up straight. Kale and his mother hover nearby, worried because this whole meet the parents disaster is, unfortunately, very much reality. Her cheeks stay pink as she quietly wonders what everyone is whispering about now. In the background, his parents chat quietly and her mind spirals. Surely they are not discussing how close she looked to dropping dead just now, right? But more importantly, she realizes, how did she not notice the family resemblance sooner? They look so alike. His mother playfully feeds his father a bite at the table, the picture of a couple still very much in love. "We're," she begins. "Family," the word lands and Evelyn's hands fly straight to her head, overwhelmed all over again. His father studies Kale and asks point blank, "Where did you find a girl like her?" "By chance," Kale shrugs, not exactly forthcoming. The little brother pipes up next to their father, "So when's the wedding, sister-in-law?" Evelyn stumbles over his name, Kalen, before adding quickly, "I'm not officially your sister-in-law yet." "Well, you're going to be soon anyway, so can't I just call you that now?" He shrugs. "Yes," his father chimes in instantly, "he has a point, daughter-in-law." His mother's eyes light up with an idea. "Oh, that reminds me, Evelyn. You're attending the party next week, right?" she asks. The whole family lingers around the dinner table as the question hangs in the air. "I'd actually like to give you a gift," his mother adds, leaning in. Would you come with me after we finish eating? Evelyn can only gulp. A slow, delighted smile spreads across the older woman's face, the kind of smile that should probably worry someone. A hand reaches out of the shadows, straight toward Evelyn. Something closes around her wrist before she can even react. Come along now, his mother says sweetly, pulling her down a dim, creaking hallway. Evelyn's imagination runs wild with horror. She is not going to make me in on her secret to eternal youth, is she? Grim little visions flash through her head, none of them pleasant, all of them ridiculous. But the doors swing open on something else entirely, a closet overflowing with shoes and gowns, his mother striking a dramatic pose right in the middle of it. Evelyn just blinks, guess not then. What do you think? His mother beams. I've collected every single dress I ever wanted to see my daughter-in-law wear. I'm sure they'll look wonderful on you, she gushes, practically sparkling with excitement. Come here, darling, she calls out, and the dress-up marathon officially begins. Let's have a wonderful time together, she declares, sweeping Evelyn up before she can even protest. Evelyn gets spun, swapped, and redressed at lightning speed, barely able to keep up. By the end of it, she has tried on 100 dresses over the course of several hours. Somewhere, a stylist deserves a medal. Should we try that one next? His mother asks brightly while Evelyn, huffing and completely spent, has already collapsed on the floor. Evelyn cannot help but think, the previous Duchess overwhelms you with just as many gifts as Kale does. It really does run in the family. Like mother like son, she groans to herself. This is just as horrible as bathing in blood, she thinks dramatically. There is simply no end to it. The second she gets a chance, Evelyn drops low and starts sneaking for the door. This will not do, she needs to get out of here. A dramatic boom announces two more arrivals, his father, with the little brother trailing right behind him. His father produces a mysterious book with far more ceremony than the moment really calls for. What are you two doing here? Evelyn asks, stunned. Well, I wanted to talk to my daughter-in-law too, he says, like that explains everything. Father, you need to wait your turn, the boy cuts in immediately. I was here first. Right on cue, his mother reappears as well. Where are you going, darling? She asks, catching Evelyn mid-crawl across the floor. There is no escape, Evelyn realizes, completely trapped, as the boy sings out, sister-in-law. Daughter-in-law, his mother chimes in from the other side. Evelyn has nothing left to give. I don't even have the energy to escape anymore, she thinks. Someone, anyone, please save me, she cries out, dissolving into tears right there on the floor. And then out of nowhere, a hand reaches for her. Her eyes go wide. Kale. He pulls her close, steady and sure, shielding her from the chaos in one smooth motion. He lifts her clean off her feet, and just like that, he is carrying her straight out of there. He looks down at her, his usual smirk nowhere in sight, just quiet, focused intent. I'll be taking my wife now, he announces to the whole room, and just like that, the rescue is officially complete. He leans in close, thumb brushing her cheek, and Evelyn goes pink under his touch. Before she can react, Kale turns and announces flatly, I'll be taking her now. His parents freeze mid-greeting, completely blindsided. Turns out Kale isn't exactly the sharing type. He's already whisking her through the door when his mother comes chasing after them, calling his name. Even if you're newlyweds, this is unfair. I want time with my daughter-in-law too. His mother wails while poor Evelyn squeaks that they aren't even married yet. Kale marches her straight home anyway, visibly irritated that anyone would dare compete for her attention. As evening settles over the grand estate, things finally go quiet again for now. Later, hurrying down a hallway, Evelyn's legs give out and she crumples toward the floor. Startled, she looks up to find a gloved hand already reaching out to steady her. Flushed, she manages a quiet thank you for helping me. Kale keeps her steady as they walk together through the sunlit halls, his usual smirk nowhere in sight. Had I been even a little late, you would have been in serious trouble, he tells her right as his parents cackle together in the background, clearly the ones actually responsible for the near disaster. Kale pinches the bridge of his nose. He should have known his parents' mischief would end with someone tripping. I'll apologize on their behalf, he says gently, crouching to her level. You're not feeling well today, please get some rest. Evelyn blinks up at him, caught off guard. How did you know I wasn't feeling well? And you haven't looked quite right since, Kale admits. Turns out he's been watching her more closely than she realized. He tucks her in with surprising gentleness. "Get your rest, I won't bother you," he says, and Evelyn, already half asleep, huffs back that he'd better not. His gloved hand lingers, patting her hair with a tenderness he'd never admit to in public. Watching him fuss over her, Evelyn can't help but think, at times like this he actually seems pretty sweet. Kale lingers by the window afterward, watching over the estate grounds with an unusually soft look on his face. Evelyn's eyes finally grow heavy and sleep pulls her under. Later, Evelyn brings up the upcoming party. "The crown prince will be there too, right?" she asks. "Of course," Kale says, giving her hand an affectionate pat. "It's his birthday party after all." "Right, he's supposed to appear then," Evelyn murmurs, clearly working up to something. But she presses, what if you ran into your ideal type at that party?" Kale goes completely still, the question clearly catching him off guard. "My ideal type," he echoes, turning to face her fully. "You know," Evelyn presses, "the woman of your dreams. If you were to meet her at that party." She trails off, watching him closely for a reaction. Kale's expression flickers, unreadable, as he reaches out to touch her shoulder instead of answering. He tucks the blanket carefully around her, taking care not to wake her. That night, Kale sits quietly at her bedside long after she's drifted off, just watching her sleep. "What would you do?" he wonders aloud to no one, her earlier question clearly still nagging at him. Meanwhile, a few days before the party, the scene shifts to the crown prince's palace under a night sky. A carriage rolls up outside, hooves clopping across the courtyard stone. A full line of palace staff turns out to greet the arriving guest in style. Even his collar looks like it costs more than a small kingdom. Royalty really doesn't do subtle. Meet Ian, the empire's golden-haired crown prince, and going by that dramatic introduction, a leading man in his own right. He flashes an easy, confident smile, every inch the charming royal. "Welcome to my palace," Ian says warmly as his guest steps down to meet him. That guest is Princess Lena, and she's clearly not here for small talk. Princess of the Karlan Kingdom, and, according to the framing, the female lead of this particular story. She takes in her new surroundings with a cool, appraising look. Ever the gentleman, Ian presses a courtly kiss to her hand. Elsewhere, in the dark of night, a familiar face is stumbling through the streets in a temper. Edwin lets out a furious curse and kicks at nothing in particular. The impact rings out into the night. He is clearly not in a good place right now. "Damn it," he pants, "why the hell is everyone?" He can't even finish the thought. "On my case," he snaps at someone off-screen who fires right back. "Edwin, you are nothing but an embarrassment." It's his mother, and she's found him slumped in a chair surrounded by empty wine bottles, looking every bit the disappointment she just called him. "Even after going to the Florence estate, I'm still furious," she snaps. "You just had to fool around with another woman and get your engagement called off." "Arg, I already," Edwin starts to protest, grimacing. What man would pass on a woman who throws herself at him naked? He shoots back, utterly unrepentant. "This is far from your first time," his mother reminds him coldly. "Only a year ago you got drunk and put your hands on a young maid." "So what?" Edwin snaps back, showing exactly zero remorse. His mother goes rigid with fury. What did you just say?" "You couldn't fix anything at the Florence estate either, mother," Edwin fires back. "At this rate, Evelyn is really going to marry that duke," she cries, the real source of her panic finally surfacing. "Why you is that any way to talk to your mother?" "Ugh, whatever," Edwin mutters, turning away. "I'm going out, don't bother looking for me," she snaps, storming off so fast a maid barely gets out a startled "Madam" in time. Out on his own now, Edwin fumes to himself. "I can't believe I got rejected by the likes of Evelyn Florence." His jaw clenches, bitterness written all over his face. He can't let it go. Barely any time had passed before she announced her engagement to another man in the papers. "She's just out to disgrace my entire family," he seethes, conveniently forgetting who actually caused the breakup. "Like hell I'll let her," he growls, storming off toward a building across town. He bursts through a door uninvited. "Hey, give me food," he demands, and somewhere off-panel, someone just beams at his nerve. He flops onto the sofa like he owns the place, and a bright voice greets him. "You're here." She wraps him in a hug. "You must have had such a hard time," she says softly. Edwin sinks into the embrace, finally letting his guard down. She smiles down at him, dark hair falling loose, clearly delighted he came. I'm glad you came, darling, she murmurs. So this is the other woman his family keeps yelling about. Camilla curls up next to a familiar red-haired face and asks if he's been busy lately since he hasn't come to see her much these days. He just brushes her off. Why do you ask? Because, she presses, you haven't been coming to see me much. He answers with nothing but a smug, sarcastic laugh. Here we go again, Camilla, he sighs like her feelings are the real inconvenience here. She flinches like she's heard this before. Didn't I tell you I hate the clingy types? He snaps, and just like that we know exactly what kind of man we're dealing with. But I just, Camilla starts, then stops herself, hurt written all over her face. I thought it would be good for the baby, she finally says quietly, if you were around more often. It's our child, she reminds him, and for just a second, even his cold expression cracks. Of course, Camilla says softly, I haven't said a word. Whatever secret they're keeping, she's holding up her end. In his head, Edwin's only worry is keeping Camilla's pregnancy locked down. An absolute secret, he reminds himself, no one, not one soul, can ever find out. Because if word ever got out that he cheated on Evelyn with her own friend, he'd be finished for good this time. Somehow, someway, he's determined to claw his way back into an engagement with Evelyn. And once that happens, he figures he can just keep Camilla around as his mistress. Real charmer, this one. The one thing he won't deny, they're very compatible between the sheets. Wow, so noble of him. Camilla just goes quiet, the silence saying more than words ever could. She sits alone with her hands folded in her lap, the picture of quiet heartbreak. Meanwhile, across town, the Crown Prince's ballroom is already in full swing. Two familiar figures make their entrance, and the whole room seems to catch its breath. Kale and Evelyn step in arm, and honestly, they look like they walked straight out of a fairy tale. My goodness, someone gasps from the crowd. Yeah, that reaction checks out. Kale, as always, looks completely unbothered by all the attention, rough life being that handsome. Oh, that's Duke Harthian, isn't it? One guest whispers, he's so handsome. Should she really be speaking so casually at the palace? Another mutters, side-eyeing Evelyn. Evelyn just smiles it off, a little pink in the cheeks but otherwise unbothered. I'm just jealous, honestly, someone sighs. Wasn't she originally Lord Edwin's fiancé, though? So what happened was, the gossip continues right up until Evelyn calls them out. I can hear everything, you know. Busted mid-gossip, Evelyn's whole face goes red. Then Kate comes barreling in, arms wide open. Duke Harthian, Evelyn. Kale grabs Evelyn's hand and makes a break for it. Kate, she yelps, caught completely off guard. Wait, Evelyn cries, nearly plowing straight into someone else in the chaos. That someone is Kate's date for the evening, Kale's ever-loyal sidekick still trying to catch up to her. Kate, wait for me. You two look so good together today, Kate gushes. Especially you, Your Grace, you're absolutely stunning. Hello, Your Grace, sidekick offers politely to Kale, then turns to Evelyn with a grin. Wow, Evelyn, you look beautiful. Evelyn laughs it off, then asks the question that's been on her mind. But where's Camilla? Did just the two of you come? Kate and sidekick trade an uneasy glance. Wait, you haven't heard from her either? Kate asks. She's been refusing to see anyone lately. Maybe she's not feeling well. What? Evelyn's smile falters, worry creeping in. Before anyone can dwell on it, a trumpet fanfare cuts through the ballroom. Entering the star of the empire, His Highness the Crown Prince, the herald announces. He struts in dripping with gold trim and jewels. Subtlety was clearly never part of the royal upbringing. Thank you all for attending my birthday party, he says smoothly to the room. I hope you all have a wonderful time, he adds, flashing that easy practice smile. Across the room, Kale and Evelyn exchange a quick, nervous glance. Anyway, don't worry about it, let's go dance, Kate chirps, then pauses. But wait, where's the princess? Evelyn goes tense at the question, bracing for whatever's coming. Kale's thoughts are racing. According to the original story, she's due to show up right about now. The prince saunters over to Kale with a knowing grin. You didn't even reply to my invitation, but you came after all. Kale and Evelyn try to walk on, but the prince trails after them, clearly enjoying himself. Evelyn, meanwhile, is fully starstruck. Wow, it's the Crown Prince, this is my first time seeing him this close. The prince blinks, caught off guard by her sheer enthusiasm. Greetings, your highness, Evelyn blurts flustered. I'm Evelyn Florence, she manages. Yes, hello, he chirps back, delighted. Then his tone shifts. I know all about you too, he says, and Kale's easy smile drops instantly. You were all over the newspapers, the prince teases. Don't act like you're her friend, Kale snaps, you've never even spoken to her. My, how mean, the prince laughs. Every lady in this empire is acquainted with me to some degree, you know. The two of them nearly come to blows over it, laughing the whole time. Watching them bicker, Evelyn can't help but think, right now they actually seem like close friends. The prince leans in close to Evelyn instead, dropping his voice. So, is Kale good to you? Pardon, Evelyn stammers, thrown by the sudden whisper. Does he treat you to a lot of nice meals? He presses, still whispering. Why yes, all the time, she answers eagerly, completely missing where this is headed. That's when Kale swoops in, practically materializing between them. You can screw off now, he tells the prince flatly, hauling Evelyn away with zero subtlety. Oh geez, the prince sighs to himself. You've completely misinterpreted my pure intentions. Don't be so guarded, the prince calls after them. I only came over because there's someone I want to introduce you to. A hand taps Evelyn on the shoulder, and she jumps at the sudden touch. Huh, she gasps, spinning around. That person. There, on the prince's arm, stands a woman in a stunning pink and white gown. Kale and Evelyn both go still, watching the pair approach. The woman offers an unreadable, faintly knowing smile. She's the female lead of the original novel, Princess Lena, in the flesh, and this chapter is not wasting any time. That was the moment Kale felt something fierce stir inside him for Princess Lena. Flash back to the night he first laid eyes on her, gliding through the palace at her side while shadows crept in around them. Was it possessiveness burning behind those red eyes, or something even more dangerous? Desire, maybe. The memory fades into rain and silence as two figures descend a grand staircase into the dark. And there she is, Princess Lena. Even in memory, she's stunning enough to stop time. Kale himself isn't exactly hard on the eyes either, dressed to the nines for whatever this occasion turns out to be. Someone off to the side can't help but gawk. Yeah, he'd get used to that reaction around here. Cut to the actual event. Lena sweeps in wearing a gown fit for a fairy tale with Kale trailing just behind her. Soft pink hair like cotton candy, the whole room practically swoons, and honestly fair. Eyes as sweet and golden as honey. This girl is being built up as an absolute knockout, and the sparkle effects agree. Up close, Lena really does look every bit the storybook princess, delicate, radiant, and a little nervous. Even her dress gets its own dramatic close-up. This chapter is not being subtle about how gorgeous she is. Cue Evelyn's brain short-circuiting into a full chibai meltdown. Oh, princess, she's already a little starstruck. Evelyn's inner monologue kicks in hard. Has Kale fallen for the princess? I mean, just look at her, right? She sneaks a peek at Kale's face, bracing herself. Guess it's over for me now, she thinks, half joking, half not. Kale's face, absolutely nothing, no change in expression at all. The man is unreadable as always. Evelyn clocks it immediately, tagging him uninterested in her head, not the reaction she braced for. Huh, what's with that reaction, she wonders, genuinely thrown by how unbothered he looks. She keeps staring at him, waiting for even a flicker of interest. Nothing. Then Kale straight up yawns right in front of the princess. Smooth Duke, real smooth. That face, Evelyn thinks, is the face of a man who could not care less. Totally devoid of desire, she decides, which, for once, is exactly the reaction she was hoping for. Someone steps in to make it official. Say hello, this is Princess Lena of the Carlon Kingdom. In turn, Evelyn is introduced as Lady Evelyn Florence, eldest daughter of Count Florence, flinching a little under the attention. She drops a polite curtsy. It is a pleasure to meet you, your highness. The group sizes each other up, Kale and a blonde stranger in white standing just behind the two women. Lena fumbles nervously with the jewel at her collar, clearly still getting used to court manners. I also feel pleasure meeting with you. My name is Princess Lena, she manages, a little tangled up in the phrasing. Kale, ever the tease, points out that the imperial language is still pretty tough for her. Yes, still difficult, she admits, a bit flustered. But I'm working hard to learn, she adds, earnest as ever. Honestly, everyone watching agrees she's unbearably cute about it. Before things go further, word arrives that Her Majesty the Empress wants to see Kale. He's asked to step away for a moment and Evelyn's face does a full wait what at the sudden interruption. The whole group freezes for a beat, eyes flicking between each other. The blonde stranger waves it off. Don't worry about me, go ahead, he tells Kale. Turns out he's a prince himself and he asks Evelyn to keep an eye on Lena while he steps out too. It would put my mind at ease if she were with you. Of course, Your Highness, you have nothing to worry about. Evelyn agrees, delighted to help. Kale and the prince head off together, leaving the two women behind. And just like that, Lena and Evelyn are alone. Evelyn's heart actually skips a beat. I'm alone with Princess Lena. Evelyn panics internally, fidgeting while Lena looks just as nervous. Lena breaks the ice first. I like your eyes, clear, bright, and beautiful green. Evelyn flaps right back, you're very pretty too, Your Highness, and just like that the compliments start flying. Your eyes are like sparkling gold, like sweet honey too, Evelyn gushes and Lena practically glows, really, I am so happy. She blushes, clearly touched by the compliment. Even her smile is pretty, Evelyn thinks, charmed despite herself. Then Lena gets a little vulnerable, I am lonely because I do not have friends, so Evelyn. I want to spend some time with you, she says, hopeful. The two clasp hands, sealing the moment. Sure, then let's be friends. Evelyn beams and just like that an unlikely friendship is born. She asks about the princess's hobbies. Turns out Lena's a total bookworm, especially for romance novels. Evelyn lights up, same. They decide to reveal their favorite recent read on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, they both blurt out The Doomed Extra and The Tyrant Emperor at the exact same time. Soulmates, clearly. 5 stars, obviously, such a sad, beautiful story. They geek out over the ending together, the Emperor finding his one love only to lose her and live out his days alone. The best, a true love story, Lena agrees. Then Evelyn brings up an even spicier title, I Ran Away Pregnant with the Duke's Child, and yeah, they're both obsessed. Meanwhile, Kale and the prince clock the two of them giggling from across the hall with absolutely no idea what's going on. Riding the friendship high, Lena asks the real question, Evelyn, what is your ideal type? Someone caring, kind, and with a nice body. Evelyn starts a little dreamy. And apparently hot, very, very hot if the mental image is any indication. Then she just keeps going, cute smile, perfect eyelids, sharp jawline, lean but not overly muscular, oh, and he has to smell nice too, it's a whole checklist. She turns the question back on Lena, who's clearly zoned out staring into the distance. Your Highness, me. I love charismatic bad boys, Lena admits. Evelyn blinks, bad boys. Evelyn goes quiet for a second, that word bouncing around in her head a little louder than she'd like. Then Lena drops the real bomb, actually I think I found my ideal type here. My heart is racing crazily. Evelyn practically pounces, who is it, can't you just tell me at least? Lena leans in close on the staircase, ready to spill. She cups a hand to her mouth and whispers it directly in Evelyn's ear. I like, she starts and the whole scene holds its breath. Cut to Kale and the prince strolling back down the hall, completely unaware they are about to become the topic of conversation. Duke Harthian, Lena finishes, the princess has a crush on Kale, on Evelyn's own fiance. Well, this chapter just got a lot more complicated. Her own words echo back at her over and over, like she can't quite believe she just said that out loud. Judging by the look on her face, the regret is already setting in. Cue the full melodramatic meltdown, cosmic background and all, like her brain just short-circuited. The whole room loses it, wah-at, someone shrieks and Evelyn just stands there frozen solid. Hold on, Duke Harthian, the crowd gasps and a cheerful pink-haired girl chirps right back, yes that is right. Cut to the man himself, dark-haired and devastating, and Evelyn privately admits it, yeah, she's fallen for him. Turns out she's not the only one. The pink-haired girl declares, loud and proud, I want to marry him. Panic sets in immediately, what in the world does she do now? The party carries on around her, completely oblivious while her mind spirals. Later she strolls the palace halls arm in arm with her brand new pink-haired friend, smile a little too tight. It's not exactly easy to just blurt out, look, I'm already his fiance. Yeah, this is bad, like really bad. Every friendly step together feels like she's stealing away the guy who's supposed to be this girl's leading man. but staying quiet about it feels just as wrong. She's basically lying to her new friend's face, and it is eating her alive. Then she stops cold. Wait a minute. In her head, she pictures it perfectly, the two of them happy together while she quietly slips off into the sunset. That's the plan, she decides, play matchmaker then bow out gracefully. Not a bad plan at all, until a voice calling her name yanks her straight out of the daydream. She snaps back to reality, her friend still walking right beside her. What, she stammers, caught completely off guard. A red-haired girl waves them over, a wine glass in each hand. Got one for you too, she grins, then spots the new face. But who's this? Nice to meet you. The pink-haired girl gives a stiff, formal little bow. Hello, it is nice to meet you. My name is Princess Lena. Evelyn fills in the gaps, a princess from Carlon still learning the language, and the redhead beams. I see, I'm Kate. Then Kate drops her own bombshell, casual as can be. That reminds me, Evelyn, when exactly is the wedding? Lena blinks, totally lost. What wedding? While Evelyn dies a little inside. No, shut up, Kate. Kate just laughs it off and doubles right down. I'm talking about your wedding with His Grace. His Grace? Lena tilts her head, still completely lost. Yes, His Grace Duke Kale Harthian, Kate announces proudly, and Evelyn turns bright red. Oh no, the secret's officially out and Evelyn has zero idea how to handle it. She braces herself, certain Princess Lena is about to hate her forever. But Lena just looks crushed, murmuring how happy she'd been to finally make a friend. Her face goes pale as it clicks. Evelyn and the Duke, an actual couple. You two are engaged, she gasps, then immediately starts apologizing like her life depends on it. Evelyn can only blink, pardon, while Lena swears up and down she had no idea. Absolutely. I promise. Lena practically flails, mortified she might have overstepped. She grabs Evelyn's hands, spiraling. I was so rude, I'm so sorry. Her eyes well up, genuinely gutted at the thought of hurting a new friend. She bows her head low. Can you forgive me? Evelyn's heart melts on the spot. How is anyone supposed to stay mad at a face like that? Just then, a palace attendant comes looking for the princess. Her Majesty the Empress is calling for you, he says with a bow. Lena hesitates, glancing back, but Evelyn waves her off with a smile. I'm fine, so please go ahead. Lena lingers a beat, clearly not wanting the moment to end. Evelyn, can we meet again? She asks, hopeful. Of course, anytime, Evelyn answers without a second of hesitation. Just like that, the two are properly friends. Night falls over the palace, and it's finally time to head home. Slumped in the carriage, Evelyn sighs, I'm exhausted. Then she notices it. Kale hasn't said a single word this whole ride. What is going on in that head of his? A nasty little thought creeps in. Could he be thinking about Princess Lena? He just sits there, composed as ever, giving absolutely nothing away. She calls him out directly. You're acting a bit strange today. Busted. What do you mean? He deflects. Why do you keep sneaking guilty little glances at me? She presses. He finally caves. About Princess Lena, you mean the Princess of Carlon? She asks, stomach dropping. Yes, her, he confirms. What about her? Evelyn asks, bracing for the worst. She was really pretty, he blurts out, and Evelyn's smile goes rigid. Her jealousy is written all over her face, and Kale immediately starts backpedaling. I don't really want to talk about this, he mumbles, fidgeting, before admitting her hair was pink as strawberry milk and so silky smooth. He keeps going, practically reciting poetry. She possessed eyes as sweet as honey that made you want to kiss her right this second. Evelyn's eyebrow twitches. Weren't they? She starts, bracing herself. The color of sweet honey, the kind of eyes that just make you fall in love, she finishes, voice tight. Were those kinds of eyes supposed to be golden? She presses, thinking of a certain princess. What? Kale blinks, genuinely thrown by the question. Then, without warning, his gloved hand reaches for her face. Because I would consider them green, he says softly, thumb brushing her cheek. Evelyn's heart just about stops. Badum, because that's her eye color he's describing, not the princess's. Wait, what is he even talking about? She wonders, staring at his oddly serious face. A slow, dawning thought creeps in. Wait, could it be? Her jaw drops, eyes blown wide, the pieces finally clicking into place. She rides home with Kale in near silence, her mind clearly still stuck on it. Unless the man is colorblind, she reasons, there's no way he'd mistake anyone else's eyes for those stunning golden ones. Her thoughts drift back to the party itself, Kale looking every inch the dashing duke, with golden-eyed Princess Lena not far off. In her memory, his sharp red eyes give absolutely nothing away, same as always. But the memory that sticks is him staring not at the princess but straight at her. Snapping back to the present, she realizes she's been staring right back at him and panics. Why are you looking at me like that? She blurts, shoving him back before he can lean in any closer. She immediately looks guilty about it, glancing away like she's the one who got caught doing something. Her heart pounds badam as she catches another glimpse of him from the corner of her eye. His gloved hand drifts closer, and her heart does that same traitorous badam all over again. Kale really is, she thinks, watching the moonlit trees roll by as the carriage clip-clops home. Impossible to figure out, she finally admits to herself. The next morning, Evelyn jolts awake with a yawn. Whoa, I slept way too long. Emily, what time is it? She calls out for her maid, but the room stays quiet. Emily. She tracks down a couple of passing staff instead and asks after her. Yes, do you know where she went? Evelyn presses. She said she had to go help Brandon with something, one of them answers. Brandon, Evelyn asks. He's the gardener, you should be able to find them at the garden house, comes the reply. She heads out into the estate gardens herself, footsteps crunching along the path. Oh, there it is. Something catches her eye and her expression shifts, curious. She's arrived at the estate's garden house. Kalen, a small familiar face pops into view. Sure enough, it's Kalen, crouched over the flower beds with a magnifying glass in hand. Big sis, did you sleep well? The little boy chirps, delighted to see her. Yes, Kalen, have you seen Emily, by the way? Emily, I saw her heading that way earlier, he says. The steel structure at the hunting grounds was damaged, so she went to fix it, he explains. Emily sure is busy today, Evelyn muses. Anyway, what were you doing, Kalen? I was collecting insects. Insects? She echoes, unsure how to feel about that. I usually go for small animals or plants, he adds cheerfully, rummaging through his little collection. Her expression shifts, surprised as he keeps going, but today. Turns out his hobbies and specialties include collecting insects and dissecting animals and plants. Every family's got that one kid. Beaming, he holds up his latest prize, an enormous black butterfly practically glowing with pride. Look, isn't it pretty? He asks, and all Evelyn can see is the thing wriggling, reflected in her own horrified eyes. She lets out a scream loud enough to wake the whole estate. And just like that, she's gone, leaving poor Kalen standing there, butterfly in hand, utterly abandoned. She keeps running, huffing for breath under the crescent moon. She finally slows to a stop against a tree, still catching her breath. Ugh, I can't get it out of my mind, she groans, the image of that wriggling bug refusing to leave her alone. Still on the hunt for Emily, she remembers she was headed for the hunting grounds and glances around warily as an odd, unsettling laugh echoes somewhere nearby. She jolts. What was that? Ducking behind a tree, she shivers. I just got chills. Peering out, she spots a man crouched over something in the grass. Isn't that Kale's father? He turns, a slow, unsettling smile spreading across his face. How beautiful, poor thing, he murmurs, admiring whatever he's holding just a little too fondly. Meet Carson Harthian, Kale's father, and apparently his hobby is taxidermy. According to the ominous narration, his villa has an entire room wall-to-wall with stuffed animal carcasses. Cool, normal, fine. A twig snaps under Evelyn's dress, and just like that, her hiding spot is blown. Carson's head whips around at the sound. Oh, he says, spotting her instantly. If it isn't my daughter-in-law, Evelyn stammers, mortified, practically toppling over on the spot. I'm sorry, she blurts and bolts before he can say another word. She sprints all the way back toward the main house, completely out of breath. She finally collapses in a hallway, wheezing. Fist clenched, she tries to will herself calm. Why does this keep happening? Where on earth is Emily? She wails, haunted by the day's parade of weirdness. Wandering further into the estate, she stumbles onto an old book tucked away behind a dusty door. Inside its pages, a story unfolds. I've brought them, madam, someone announces. Yes, welcome, comes the reply, dripping with false sweetness. A row of young maids stands before a woman seated like a queen, and the scene feels wrong from the start. All of the new maids are 11 years old, the attendant reads aloud, and it only gets creepier from there. Here is the list of the children's personal information, the attendant continues. The book lays it out plainly. She bathed in the blood of young maids and never accepted anyone over the age of 12. Which one of these girls will be attending to my bath? She asks. The woman's name, chillingly, was Catherine Harthian. Evelyn recoils, chills running down her spine at what she's just read. I need to get out of here, she stammers, legs faltering beneath her. Footsteps approach through the fog behind her. Lady Evelyn, a voice calls out from the dark, and her eyes go wide with fear. A hand grabs her from behind. What are you doing here? And that's exactly where this chapter leaves us. Who is that? She wonders, pulse pounding. A servant of the last Duchess, straight out of every ghost story she's heard about this place. A hand clamps down on her shoulder and Evelyn freezes solid. If she really did see everything, does that make her a dead woman walking? Please, she begs, backed into the dark with nowhere left to run. Please spare me, she chokes out, trembling head to toe as the nightmare tightens its grip. Then a familiar voice cuts through the terror. Lady Evelyn, it's me. Just like that, the nightmare starts to crack. She jolts awake for real this time, shaken, and creeps down the quiet hallway trying to shake off the dream. Still rattled, she spots a familiar face out in the garden and blinks. Wait, Emily. She lunges straight for her maid. Never mind when Emily got here, there's something way more urgent to deal with. She snatches Emily by the wrist and yanks her off towards somewhere more private. Emily yelps, dragged along in stunned silence as Evelyn hauls her out of earshot. Just where have you been all day, Emily? Evelyn demands, shaking her poor maid by the shoulders. Emily throws up her hands, bracing for the rapid-fire interrogation. I was helping Brandon reorganize the steel structures at the hunting grounds and running errands for Madame Harthian, Emily rattles off. You really did all that today? You're incredible. Of course I am, Emily says, not remotely humble about it. Anyway, what's going on that you've dragged me out to this secluded spot? Emily asks. Well, you see, I think I need to figure out a solution as soon as possible, Evelyn stammers. A solution to what? Breaking off my engagement with Cale, obviously, because... Evelyn hesitates. How much of the real truth can she actually get away with telling her? Every horror story she's ever heard about this blood-stained family flashes through her head at once. The real reason? She transmigrated into this exact novel and already knows exactly how dangerous this family is. Not exactly a sentence she can say out loud. Yeah, no, Emily would have her committed on the spot. So instead she blurts out the highlight reel. Cale's a psychopath, his brother loves dissecting animals, and Madame Harthian apparently used to bathe in maid's blood. Emily's response says it all. I'll go fetch the doctor for you, my lady. Right, not exactly the reaction Evelyn was hoping for. Lesson learned, she'll need a subtler cover story than this family is secretly murderous. So she tries a different angle, leaning in close. Recurring nightmares, all about dying right here at the Harthian estate. Yeah, I've been having these prophetic dreams for a while now, and my nightmares in particular have been scarily accurate, she lies through her teeth. That's why I want to leave this place, she adds, hugging herself for effect. Prophetic dreams, this is the first I'm hearing of them. I'm serious, I just never mentioned them to you, that's all. Well, either way, it won't be easy, Emily warns. The Harthians already consider you family. But if I can just somehow get away from Cale... No, Emily cuts in. This isn't just about the Duke and his family, the whole household has already accepted you as their new Duchess. What? Lately, everywhere I go, all I hear is talk about you, my lady, Emily says, but I suppose that's only natural. Our future Duchess, the staff coo among themselves, and to top it off, the two families are meeting next week to hash out wedding plans. Evelyn's whole body goes rigid at the news. Then how about I just ask my mother to cancel everything, she blurts, desperate. Her father's out of the question. One glimpse of his temper, and she's fairly sure asking him for help could get her killed. So the only option left is, my mother, she declares. I'll insist I can't go through with the wedding without my mother's approval, she decides, calling an emergency strategy meeting with Emily. Do you think it'll work though? Countess Florence seemed pretty pleased about the marriage. Honestly, I'm surprised, Emily says, recalling her parents' shocked reaction. I've never seen a man willing to take groom lessons, her mother had admitted once, clearly charmed despite herself. Still, my life depends on this. Don't you think I've got a shot if I plead with her earnestly? Evelyn insists, working herself into a full passionate plea. She's already tearing up just imagining the performance she's about to put on. Decision made. The household scrambles to get her dressed and out the door. I'll give it a try, let's do this. And off she goes, carriage rattling toward her mother's estate. Back home in good spirits, Evelyn hums to herself, already rehearsing her big pitch. All right, I'll go see my mother tomorrow. I should send word ahead, she decides. Then something outside the window catches her eye. A carriage is already rolling up the drive. Mother, Evelyn gasps as the very woman she was about to write to steps right out of it. She dashes outside to meet her, completely bewildered. Mother, what brings you here? Her mother just smiles serenely. I ran away from home. What? Evelyn's jaw hits the floor. What you say? Evelyn sputters while a staff member steps in cheerfully. Please allow me to show you the way. What the heck is going on here? Evelyn mutters, completely lost. You will be staying here starting today, my lady, the staff announce, sweeping the two of them up a grand staircase. Wow, this place is so well kept. Her mother beams, delighted with her new digs. Evelyn just stands there fuming, completely blindsided by how fast this is all moving. What is this? When was all this even prepared? She gasps, staring at a room fit for royalty. There was a room like this in the annex. Since when? Turns out it's the old third-floor parlor, freshly remodeled. Her mother, meanwhile, looks perfectly at home already. A letter waits for them, addressed to Dear Countess Florence. I apologize for not being able to meet you in person today. I will extend my proper greetings to you tomorrow as soon as I return to the estate. It continues, unmistakably Kale's handwriting. Everything in this room has been prepared solely for you, my lady. I hope you will have a comfortable stay. Oh my, I feel bad receiving so much generosity, her mother murmurs, genuinely touched. Thank you for preparing all this on such short notice. It was no trouble at all, the staff assure her. Actually, His Grace has always kept this room well maintained so you could visit anytime, the maid reveals. So he was always expecting her mother to visit someday. Evelyn didn't see that one coming. If you need anything else, please don't hesitate to call us, the staff say before taking their leave. The door clicks shut, leaving mother and daughter alone at last. Okay, seriously, what is going on here? Evelyn presses, done waiting for answers. This is all so sudden, her mother says, wincing, clearly stalling. I'm not going back home anymore, she says finally. I'm going to divorce your father. The floor practically drops out from under Evelyn. Her mouth falls open, completely speechless. Divorce. In the dream, her parents stroll through the grand hall together, looking perfectly composed, a calm that's about to shatter completely. Her father rages at her mother, snarling that she's no kind of good mother at all. He howls that she let their unmarried daughter move into a man's house, worried more about the family's reputation than his own daughter's happiness. He keeps piling on, snapping that if she'd just watched their daughter more closely, none of this would have happened. Her hand freezes mid-stitch, the accusation landing harder than he probably meant it to. What did you just say? She asks quietly, and for once he doesn't have a comeback. With a flick, she yanks off her wedding ring, snapping that their daughter is just enjoying her love life, and he needs to stop harping on it for weeks straight. She rounds on him right back, demanding to know what he's ever done to earn the title of good father. I am done putting up with your crap, she declares, and somewhere on the wall even the family portrait looks like it's sweating. Shockingly, he's the one who breaks down in tears, choking out that he can't live with her anymore. Real smooth reversal there, guy. I was sick of my life as Countess Florence, she admits quietly to herself. So she left without taking a single cent of the family fortune. Clean break, no strings attached. With nowhere else to go, she was in a real bind until Duke Harthian, of all people, offered to let her stay at his estate. Looking back, she can't get over how thoughtful that man turned out to be. Letting her daughter marry into that family, she decides, might just be the best decision of her life. And then, a flash, Evelyn's own long-abandoned plan to break off this engagement, glowing like a crystal about to shatter. Crack, it shatters completely. Feels like a relic from a completely different lifetime now. Back in the waking world, Evelyn bolts upright and comes tearing through the halls, panic all over her face. Mother, I need to talk to you about something. Her mother, unbothered, isn't exactly in a rush. She's exhausted from constantly fighting with Evelyn's father and would rather skip this for now. It's urgent, it's about my marriage, Evelyn insists, and that finally gets her mother's full attention. Sit down and tell me right now, her mother orders, suddenly very invested. So much for being too tired. What's wrong? Is there a problem with the wedding preparations? She asks, leaning in close. Mother, the thing is, Evelyn starts, I've been having the same nightmare over and over. She hesitates, sweating, clearly dreading how this is about to sound out loud. And her mother prompts, completely unbothered. Dreams are just superstition, her mother says flatly. There's no science behind them. You don't actually think your nightmares mean anything, do you? That's right, she adds, arms crossed, radiating pure cold logic. Right, Evelyn remembers she forgot her mother was basically a math professor. Logic over feelings every single time. Still, she pushes back weakly. Dreams have been known to come true sometimes, so maybe don't dismiss them completely. Somewhere, an imaginary award for best dramatic performance gets handed out. My dreams especially have always come true ever since I was little. I'm terrified, she wails. Her mother just sits quietly among the roses, completely unmoved. Not exactly the comfort Evelyn was hoping for. All right, I understand, her mother finally concedes. I'll keep an eye on the mood around here during my stay. Tea gets poured, her ring catching the light, a small pause before the real reassurance lands. Don't worry so much, she tells Evelyn gently. She reaches over, a small comforting gesture between mother and daughter. I'm your mother, aren't I? She says, and Evelyn tears up on the spot, choking out a grateful thank you, mother. A few days later, Evelyn wanders the garden alone, still turning it all over in her head. Laughter drifts through the flowers nearby, and she almost doesn't recognize it as her own mother's. Sure enough, there she is, Countess Florence, giggling over tea with none other than Kale's mother. The two of them are already thick as thieves. How has your stay at the estate been? Comfortable? Kale's mother asks, strolling the lavender fields together. Life's been wonderful lately, honestly I can't thank the Duke enough, Evelyn's mother replies. How did you raise such a good son? Oh please, I'm far more curious how you raised a daughter like Evelyn, Kale's mother laughs right back. The two of them keep giggling away, thoroughly delighted with each other. Evelyn watches all this unfold from a distance, one eyebrow slowly climbing. Aren't they getting along a little too well? She mutters, equal parts touched and suspicious. Kale, meanwhile, is far too busy enjoying his tea to share the concern. That's a relief then, he says simply, while Evelyn pours the tea with a resigned little sigh. A relief? Evelyn balks mid-dress fitting, her mother doesn't seem worried about her at all. Some things never change. Turns out her mother's social calendar is packed. Massages, garden strolls, flower arranging, living her best retired countess life. Evelyn just fumes on a bench, thoroughly unimpressed by her mother's newfound leisure. I think my mother's planning to stay here permanently, she tells Kale, who nearly drops his fork. And what's the issue? He asks between bites of cake, utterly unbothered. Evelyn bristles at how little any of this seems to faze him. It's all an issue if my parents keep being on bad terms, she starts while Kale just keeps eating. She trails off, deflated, as he happily polishes off another bite. Wow, this is good, he says, missing the point entirely. You want me to just let my parents get divorced? She demands. He deadpans that the cake must be to her mother's taste. Smooth, Kale, real smooth. Kind of what? Kale finally asks, paying attention as she fidgets. Strange, Evelyn admits, struggling to name the feeling. But I don't think it's just about the divorce itself, she continues, still turning it over. Then what is it? Kale presses, genuinely curious now. She rests her head on her arms, thinking it through. My mother looks genuinely happy these days, she finally says. It's a strange sight, someone practically glowing with joy, blossoms and all. It's the kind of happiness that's hard to fake. My mother is, how do I put this? Evelyn muses. She's never been one to talk much or smile much or really show any emotion at all. That's the mother Evelyn's always known, cold, composed, distant even inside her own home. So watching her now feels almost disorienting. But now she's acting nothing like the mother I knew, it just feels strange, Evelyn admits. It's like she was never actually happy back at the Florence estate at all, Evelyn realizes. Meanwhile, in a much lighter corner of the garden, Kale strolls hand in hand with Evelyn, bouquet in tow. Her mother pauses too, hair catching the breeze, looking more at peace than Evelyn's ever seen her. Kale and Evelyn share a quiet little bench moment of their own. Tea, roses, and a wedding dress in progress. Life at the estate has clearly been treating everyone well. But as night falls over the estate, something else starts stirring. A door creaks open in the dark. It's Kale slipping through the halls alone. "Ah, you're here, my dear mother-in-law," he says smoothly, catching sight of someone waiting for him. Evelyn's mother stands frozen in the corridor, clearly unsure what she's just walked into. "I wonder why the Duke," she thinks, trailing off as she walks toward him. "Called me here at this late hour," she finishes, gulping hard. Given his reputation, honestly, who could blame her for being nervous? "This isn't anything serious," Kale reassures her, though with this guy that's never entirely comforting. "I just wanted to give you something," he says, holding out a sealed letter, and just like that, the chapter leaves us hanging.